We good on the audio? Shut up about the Bills. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear a goddamn thing about the Bills. I want you guys to knock that shit off. How about that? All good. Thank you. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I sure as shit enjoyed mine until yesterday. I'll forever say snow is bullshit, and we don't need that. Thank you. Nice mic. Thank you. I've had this mic for a little while. It's not news. It's echoing. Let me change. Thank you. Let me look at the sound settings here. Let's see. No echo for you guys? Okay. Sometimes that does happen. I have to just change it from one channel to two channel, but it should be good. Sounds good there. All right. Probably was yours. Whoever that was, sorry, that was probably yours. I do need to say this. Let me check with Jen. Jen, is the YouTube stream up? Jen, will you message me on Discord if the YouTube stream's up? We got a new theme song. We not a new theme song. We have a theme song. You may remember this song.
He's trying to fuck RTP. She'll make him better than a cherry. He's trying to fuck RTP. He's trying to fuck RTP.
There we go. And that was made by Discord user Biter, BIT3R. I think it's Biter. And he has made a new theme song for our show. And so this is going to be the inaugural performance of this. All right. Jen says YouTube's running. Check. Here's the new theme song from Biter. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. So we'll have that. We'll add that to our intro. But just want to thank Biter for that and for all the creativity that comes out of not only TikTok but Discord. One thing I was thinking about this weekend is just how many people there are out there that are great creators, make good content, and I think that one of the things that, at least for me politically, that has turned me off a bit is it feels like it's gotten a bit stagnant. It feels like my timeline is the same 8 people saying the same thing over and over and over again. And it was a good reminder this weekend to check out other content creators and see the stuff that like is being made that nobody's viewing. And I think that that's one of the things that the right does really, really, really well. If you look at Twitter, for whatever we want to say about Twitter, it is bleeding users. There are problems with advertisers. It is a right-wing hellhole over there, but they have figured out a way to communicate and get their message across and share things quickly and effectively so that like stuff that isn't true spreads like wildfire, and you have no chance to like catch up on that. You can't. Like if I just show you the Twitter feed right now, let me show you here. Just some of the stuff I was looking like. I legitimately like have to get off Twitter now in order to find real news, which I didn't used to have to do. Like I could find real stuff, but like there's a lot of stuff here about Joe Biden, which I'm going to cover that story, pardoning his son. A lot of people are loving. Suddenly we love community notes over here on Twitter, but the amount of information that is able to be pushed out and how quickly it's able to get clicks is something that we're not very good at. And I think that some of that may come, at least for me, just me speaking specifically, sometimes when you're making content and you're fighting for eyes, you have this tendency to see people who are bigger than you or people who are on like the same size as you, audience wise, and you get competitive. And I don't, at least for me, I want to not be part of that. I don't want to worry about the clicks in that way. And right wing media has done it the right way. Right wing media promotes stuff from anybody. As long as it resonates, they share it. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. I'll get to some Rogan stuff here, but I've just been listening to a lot of right wingers this weekend, trying to figure out how they wound up where they are. Actually, maybe we'll start with Rogan today. But first I wanted to show this video. I don't remember who sent this. Sorry.
Well, that video is
who it was in somebody in Discord sent this. This is the creator here is. We'll just go to her page. Actually, Mayday Party of Five.
That video is going viral on,
and this is a video that she created. I actually reached out to her this morning.
It's been seen on
I reached out to her this morning to see if she wanted to comment on any of this. She's a school teacher, and so she doesn't have time to comment on this right now. But she is willing to come on and talk about this another time. And I just thought this was a great video, and it's just an example of something we should be sharing, the type of messaging that we could make go more viral that we tend not to. Now, this, for her account, just looking at views, has gone pretty viral. Has like 230,000 views, which is a lot of views. But most of her other content doesn't have a lot of views, and it's good stuff. So I just wanted to show this.
Well, that video is going viral on social media. It's been seen on TikTok over 200,000 times. It's also led to a flood of calls coming into State Senator Danny Britt's office here in Raleigh. So far, though, the senator not weighing in on that controversial email. It all started with this video from North Carolina TikTok user Lindsay Talley, who says her friend has a genetic condition creating life-threatening abnormalities, and wrote to her Republican state senator concerned about the state's abortion laws and her ability to expand her family. And in response, the official email back telling her to leave the country.
Thank you so much for the email. I'm not quite certain how we are preventing you from expanding your family. I suggest you move to China immediately and see how that works out. If for some reason that fails, Russia is nice in the winter and Venezuela in the summer. Danny Britt.
The email.
That's a state senator, Danny Britt. Now, this was written by Danny Britt's, I don't know if it's secretary or spokesperson. I'm not sure what the role of this person was. But did you hear that? Like, hey, I'm concerned about this. They're like, why don't you just move to Russia or China or Venezuela and just get the fuck out of here? Like, sorry that you're worried about your family.
Email appears to be from Senator Britt's legislative assistant, Camille McDougal.
Legislative
A
assistant.
follow-up email said, quote, I responded how Senator Britt wanted me to. No further comment. We made multiple attempts to reach the senator, who represents Robeson, Hoke, and Scotland counties. We also went to his Raleigh legislative office, and his assistant behind the email didn't want to talk. Hello, how's it going?
Sir, back out, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No comment. Back out. I don't
Well, this is a
you can record me again, just like the other
okay.
one.
Well,
Excuse me.
this is a public public office,
It
right?
is, but I'm in here.
Okay.
And I don't have a comment.
But the email serving as a lesson for how to respond to those they serve. Congressman Wiley Nichols says his office also responds to thousands of emails, and he was surprised to see that kind of a response coming from a fellow lawmaker.
Anyone who has the honor and privilege of representing constituents in Washington or in Raleigh needs to be respectful of the people that they represent. We work for them.
So it does raise the question, though, where do North Carolina's abortion laws stand right now? Well, after the overturn of Roe v. Wade in 2023, Republicans...
Cut it there. I just wanted to show that video. All she asked, when I asked her if it was okay if I shared this video and if she wanted to come on, she just asked that we promote it and ask people to share it. That's her name, Mayday Party of Five, M-A-Y-D-A-Y Party of Five. So if you want to follow her on TikTok, what is she? I mean, I think she has 12,000 followers, but I went through a bunch of her videos, a lot of great videos. That's all she asked. She just wants that message to be spread. So if you're here right now, even if you want to leave for a second, follow Mayday Party of Five, like the video, share the video, repost the video. I think that's an important video, especially for the people in North Carolina to see. I would be not super thrilled if I was in North Carolina and I had a senator just like who gets an email from a constituent is like, hey, it's not even important enough for me to write this email. I'm going to have my assistant do it, but also fuck off. Just go to China, go to Russia, go to Venezuela. That's what we need more of. Thank you guys. Anyways, thanks for going over there and following her. So that's something I'm going to try and do a little bit more of in the next year is try and amplify things that I think are good messaging. I think we could do a better job at, what do we call it on Blue Skies, at reposting things. If you're on Twitter, retweeting things. If you're on TikTok, reposting things, sharing people stitching videos. Like these are the types of things that we need to share. And I'm just telling you from a right-wing perspective, it works. This is literally what they've done. Like Libs of TikTok exists because of this. Libs of TikTok has power because of this. And we kind of sat back and thought, nah, nobody's going to think that this Libs of TikTok or these right-wing creators make any sense. They're all crazy. And then they blow up and have millions of followers. And because of their impact and because of their size, they are able to get their messaging across quicker than we can even defend it. I think talk there. I'll play these clips in a minute, but Joe Rogan talking about how Twitter is the new is like the new media. There is a lot of confidence on that side that things are going well at Twitter, which in and of itself is crazy, right? I don't know what to do with these right wingers, and hopefully they'll start coming up here to talk a little bit more. I don't know what to do with them though. They just, whatever's happening in front of them, they just pretend it's not happening. They're like, Twitter's taking over the world, as it's just like bleeding people. It's just bleeding users. It's bleeding money. It's bleeding users. Blue Sky's growing. They're not taking over the world, but sorry, am I frozen for everybody? Or is it just, I'm seeing frozen. Sorry, if it's frozen, maybe just swipe in and swipe back out. I apologize. Anyways, I'm looking at community notes, which are crazy. Republicans act like the community notes are going to fix this problem, or that they are. That's one of the solutions Rogan talked about. Let me see if I have that. I have one on here twice. Well, let me just start with this. Anthony Jeselnik, which he released a new comedy special on Netflix. That's what this is from. This was one of the jokes from his comedy special, but I thought he nailed this. And I apologize if we got any Rogan stands in here. I don't hate Joe Rogan. I'm a UFC fan. I like a lot of the stuff Joe Rogan's done, but goddamn, is he bad at politics? That's a great joke. That's the start of it. And I like. It's sad to watch Rogan kind of flail when it comes to politics like this, and realizing that Rogan is just another dude in his 50s who got wealthy, who got comfortable, and just flipped his entire views, and doesn't seem to realize that he changed his views. This is a highlight clip I found of Joe Rogan, just like from less than 2 years ago, and then beyond. But this was the Joe Rogan that like I follow. This is the Joe Rogan I listened to. And I didn't like when he talked about politics then either. But I want you to just hear the difference. Like, remember what he's saying right now is that everybody lied about Trump, and Trump really is this different person, and that's why he's a Trump person now. Like, he likes Trump now because Trump isn't who the media said he was. Well, let's hear what Joe Rogan had to say. And has Joe Rogan refuted any of this stuff?
I really believe if Michelle Obama runs, she wins. She's good. She's great. She's the wife of the best president that we have had in our lifetime. I've never voted right wing in my life. I consider universal basic income a really good idea.
I want not playing. Hold on. There we go. Let me start that over. Sorry.
I really believe if Michelle Obama runs, she wins. She's good. She's great. She's the wife of the best president that we have had in our lifetime. I've never voted right wing in my life. I consider universal basic income a really good idea. I want free college education. Take it easy. Hello, Bernie.
How are you, Joe?
Wonderful. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I like Tulsi and I like Bernie. That's it.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody else can eat shit.
Look at you, fucking progressive.
Yeah. I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. I think he's looking out for the interests of the working people. And I think he wants people to have a better life and do better. And I'm all for that. And if that means I have to pay more in tax, like people think, oh, you're a socialist. I've heard people say that. Oh, you're a fucking socialist, bro. Like, first of all, he's not even a socialist. He's a democratic socialist. It's a different thing. I would like to spend more in taxes if they could fix inner city communities and take these poor neighborhoods and throw a fuckload of spend more, you fucking Republican piece of shit. 87% of scientists said that human activity is driving global warming.
If somebody said that to him now, he'd be so mad. But like, to go after Brian Callen
and take these poor neighborhoods and throw a fuckload.
Beautiful.
Spend more, you fucking Republican piece of shit. 87% of scientists said that human activity is driving global warming. I'm very pro-choice. I'm very women's rights, civil rights, gay rights, trans rights. I'm even universal health care. Obviously, this protected status is driving me crazy. This thing that Trump's doing with children that were born in other countries and then brought over here as children, and then they're talking about deporting them. That drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's
that kind of shit. And the hard right version of that is despicable. These people that I see online, why didn't they apply for citizenship? Oh, who knows? Maybe because they're fucking 13. I don't give a fuck if they broke the law. You don't take parents and kids and separate them. You just fucking don't. You know Alonzo?
No, who's that?
A funny comedian.
Yeah.
He goes, not all Donald Trump supporters are racist, but all racists are Donald Trump supporters.
He definitely awakened that side.
But
the January 6th thing is important.
See, it is important, but is it the 6 months later? It should be the ruling number one conversation of journalists?
I think it's really important. And one of the reasons why I think it's important because it highlights the reasons why a guy like Donald Trump is so fucking dangerous. Is because a guy can incite a bunch of morons to do something really fucking stupid. But as far as trans people, some trans people listening to this, I got nothing but love for you. For everybody. And in fact, Eddie Izzard is one of my all-time favorite guests.
Oh, I love Izzard.
The right-wing thing is just an easy way to dismiss me, because I'm not right-wing. I can't recommend your book, Race Matters, enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, we can say whatever we want. Like, we can say it was Russian money. I guess, like, I'm still maybe disillusioned. Is that the right word? Not disillusioned. Yeah, sure. I still have hope that Joe Rogan is who he says he was. Here's my opinion, and I don't know if I'm right about this. I think that Joe Rogan was radicalized by specific people, and those specific people played to the stuff Joe Rogan loves. Like, Joe Rogan has always been somebody who believed in free speech. He was one of the first people who came out and did this whole podcast thing. He was one of the first. He wasn't the first, but he was one of the first. And one of the things that he liked about a podcast, rather than like a hosted show or a simulcast, or what do you call it? What do you call it when you have like a syndication, a syndicated show, is that he could say whatever he wanted, and there were no time constraints, and he didn't have to worry about advertisers. He could just say what he wanted. And he was always that way. And then all of a sudden you had like Ben Shapiro coming up, Elon Musk, you had Tim Pool, and they all started talking about speech being policed online, or speech being policed everywhere. And these very things that he claims he used to care about, suddenly he's abandoned those for what? Like, you even hear the Republicans now, like, I do think that they're stuck in this loop where they're just they just want to complain. They need something to complain about, and that makes sense to me. As somebody who was raised to be a perpetual victim when it came to like the world, right? The world is evil. The world doesn't like you because of what you believe. The world is falling apart. Meanwhile, during that time, from 1985, the year I was born, until 30 years later, the world had been getting progressively better, right? The crime was lowering. It was safer. I had this conversation with my child's mother the other day. She said something like, you know, it's so different than when we were kids. Like, you can't let your kids out in public. You can't let them go anywhere. You got to be helicoptered 24/7. And like, there's the part of me, I have a daughter, so I like internally, I'm not going to stop that. Like, I'm going to be a helicopter parent. I'm going to worry every second that she's away from me. But if we're being honest about it, it is safer now. The difference is that before, when something happened, you didn't have 50 people posting about it on Facebook that were within your group, right? You didn't. It wasn't 24/7 in your face. If there was a story like this, like, I grew up in Utah, so I remember the Elizabeth Smart story. You know what we found? We knew about Elizabeth Smart through the news. We had to turn on the news every night or read the newspaper, but it wasn't this constant, like, being bombarded with news stories. Imagine if that Elizabeth Smart story happened now versus when it did happen. The conspiracy theories that would have went along. It also probably would have been solved a lot quicker because Elizabeth Smart was literally like a mile from her home, just walking around with a veil. So it probably would have been solved faster. But the conspiracy theories that would have went along with it would have completely gotten us away from the real story. And that's what's happening now. And that's what happened to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan got distracted by conspiracy theories, and those things encompass you. They weigh you down and they turn you into a different person. All of us have this. All of us do this with our own politics, like especially now with Trump involved, because so many of us feel like Trump is like the antithesis of goodness, that it becomes encompassing and it takes over our lives. And I'm watching Joe Rogan, and a lot of people, including me, like, there's hope for Joe Rogan. I wish that guy would come back. Well, maybe not. Maybe we're not getting that person back. And maybe that's just a lesson that we need to learn. The lesson that we need to learn is at some point, Joe Biden turned off these voices. Joe Biden stopped bringing up the same people he used to. I mean, where's David Pakman? Where's Brian Tyler Cohen? Where are these left-leaning political folks for him to bring on? Where's Kyle Kulinski? Kyle Kulinski was a guest that he really liked. We haven't seen Kyle Kulinski again. In fact, the only ones that we saw repeatedly were people like Jimmy Dore, who took a hard shift to the right, or Tim Pool, who took a hard shift to the right. And Joe Rogan looks at them like, oh, you were on the left, now you're on the right. Therefore, you must have a nuanced view of how this works. But it doesn't seem to be true for any of them. I just think Joe Rogan got duped, and now he has so much money that he and his circle is so limited that I'd be surprised if Joe Rogan ever stopped being anything more than like a right winger now. In his clip there, when he's like, I have no problem with trans people. One of my favorite clips, or one of my favorite guests was, I didn't know who that guest was, by the way. It was a trans person, but he does. He doesn't even realize that. Look at what his attacks have been now. He had to apologize for spreading that rumor about schools putting litter boxes in the classrooms. And he said, like, oh, my friend's wife who taught at this school told me this. And then the next day he's like, oh, she doesn't work at that school. She used to. And then it was like, oh, she doesn't work at that school, but she used to. And she heard it through a friend, through a friend, through a friend. He gets caught on the trans stuff all the time. And I think that happened to a lot of our friends on the right. A lot of people that we thought were maybe, I guess, like in the middle or more open-minded. And I don't really know what to do with that, if we're being honest. I don't know if maybe you guys have some ideas. I don't know what to do with that. The one thing we can't do is we can't stop fighting for the rights of marginalized people. Right? We cannot stop doing that. We also can't focus on it exclusively. I'm not really sure what you do with that type of messaging. I really don't. I have no idea what you do with that type of messaging. But it distracted so many people. It distracted people like Joe Rogan, who otherwise wouldn't be voting for Trump. Because, again, like he said in there, he likes universal health care. He's cool with universal basic income. He said in there, like, I don't even care if I have to pay more taxes. Now he moved to Texas. He says it's not about taxes. Maybe it was. But he got distracted. Everybody got distracted. The one thing that they did really, really well, that Republicans did better than any other politician I've ever seen in my entire life, is they took everything you can say negative about Donald Trump and turned it into the media is bad. The media is biased. And it's a good strategy. It's the strategy that every strongman has used to get in power ever. No matter what the accusation is, you deny it and you accuse the people accusing you of being a liar. Women, this probably sounds very familiar to you. This probably sounds like just most of your life if a man, especially a powerful man, is accused of abusing women. We'll talk about some of that a little later today with Pete Hegseth. It's a game that's probably new to you, and it's sad that it's new to us, but it is. It is new to us. And what it allowed is us to spend 9 years arguing in circles. I don't really know what the solution is there, but I do know that Joe Rogan went from that guy to who he is now, and I think we should try and figure it out. And I think that's going to require maybe some honest Republicans. I don't know if every Republican deserves to be heard on this. Some of the Republicans that were that have been around, like they're here for the bigotry. Like they like the anti-trans stuff, they like the anti-LGBTQ stuff, they like the anti-immigrant stuff, they like the give the billionaires tax cuts, they like Christian nationalism. There's plenty of them who this is their dream. This is great. I don't think we reach those people, but there's plenty more that I think we've got to figure out what the fuck happened, and we also need to figure out how to message a little bit better. This was just an expanded clip of Rogan. You saw some of this, but this was him talking about family separation, which is wild knowing what's about to happen now. Like or at least what Tom Holman is saying and what the Trump administration the incoming Trump administration is saying they're going to do with immigration. It's interesting that Joe Rogan held this opinion in 2018 and then somehow 6 years later voted for this same man.
Of reinforcing ridiculous ideas because you know that that's what your team supports. Like I see a lot of people online talking about this immigrant issue, and they either don't have kids or they don't think it could happen to their kids. Their idea is, hey, shouldn't have fucking come over here. You get those kind of people. Broke the law. Shouldn't have fucking come over here if you could. You didn't want to get your kids separated. If you were in the presence of a woman who came over here from Guatemala and she's poor and she's starving and they're taking her baby away and she's wailing and screaming from a primal place in her DNA that the one thing she loves more than anything is being taken away. A baby.
Yeah.
If that doesn't freak you the fuck out, you're not a part of the team, man. You're missing it. You're missing it. What are we here for? We're here for 100 years of whatever. That's what we're here for.
Like he goes from you can't be part of the team if you think this way to I'm on this team. That's a wild switch to go from you can't be part of the team if you think this to I'm endorsing this team.
If you want to spend 100 years saying, hey, you shouldn't have fucking broke the law, I don't want you on the team. You're an asshole. Right? And I don't give a fuck if you're right or left. I don't care if you're religious or I don't care if you're an atheist. If that's what you support, you're an asshole. And we don't want you on our team. Okay? So, but if you agree with certain economic policies that I don't agree with, and we could have a discussion about it, we could figure out why you agree, and we could figure out why people are allowing all of this money to get into politics. Why are we allowing all these special interest groups and lobbyists to interfere with our laws? And
he just platformed Elon Musk, who is dumping money into politics. What was that guy? And Mark Andreessen, who is a lobbyist who dumps money into politics. And when he had Trump, he didn't ask any of these questions. I just want to know, like, this is supposed to be the most honest guy in media, Republicans. This is the guy you say he's the most honest. Where were these questions? What happened? What happened to these questions? What happened to honesty? He's just putting up billionaire lobbyists now. He's just running Trump's campaign from the Rogan show now. It's absolutely insane.
Influence our politicians and create all this shit that we don't want. Well, here's the number one reason. You can't just vote online. You can't just vote. It's not one person, one vote.
Right.
It's the Electoral College, and there's a lot of checks and balances that are in place. That's all wonderful and groovy, but it's not giving the trust to the people.
Right.
The trust to the people that they're informed, that they can make their own decisions, that more people should be able to make these decisions. But they're happening now. That 28-year-old girl who won in New York, 28-year-old
That's it.
Democratic socialist. Whether I agree with,
I think you're talking about AOC right there, right? I'm pretty sure we're talking about AOC here. This is 2018. And Joe Rogan correctly identifies that the reason AOC was popular is she was one of us. She was from the people. And now he's like, AOC is the deep state. AOC is the deep state. AOC is the deep state. How? How do we get here? Money. Proximity to power.
28-year-old
That's it.
Democratic socialist. Whether I agree with her or not, and I don't know if I do or don't. I bet I agree with her on a lot of things. I think education should be free. I think we should figure out a way. If we could pay for bombs, we could pay for schools. I think this idea that everybody should have health care, it's a great idea. Who the fuck wants people to not be healthy? Who wants...
Spoiler alert. Who doesn't want people to have health care? The people you just endorsed. That's who. Yeah, this is for a lot of Nicole. Thank you. Yeah, Joe Rogan has been accused of being a right winger because he's a comedian for dudes. And if you're a white comedian for dudes, a lot of your comedy is going to it's going to appeal to right wingers. But the cool thing about Joe Rogan is that Joe Rogan would appeal to right wingers, and then he'd have conversations like this. And it was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, maybe my right wing views aren't perfect. Maybe I should rethink this.
People to be hurt and not be able to fix it. Are you really saying that struggling people should have to pay exorbitant amounts of money to get fixed when we could maybe chip in and help members of our team? That's stupid. Fill it up. Figure it out yourself. I had to. You got lucky, bitch. You got lucky you don't have leukemia. You didn't break both your legs when you were 18. Your parents are dead. Right. You got lucky, you piece of shit. These are people on our team. Right. Because I'm not talking about people who are lazy, good for nothing, losers, mooching off the system. You're going to have that too. Well, we got to figure out how to educate people so that happens less and less.
And now he's like, there's homeless people. Fuck the homeless people. We got to get up. We got to get them off the streets. Why do you think there's people that are homeless? Why do you think we got so many problems with addiction? This is what's so and look, we have to reckon with this though. Somehow this guy and people like this guy voted for Trump. And we can point to all the things that we might think it is. We can say misogyny, we can say racism, we can say patriarchy, we can say fascism, we can say Christian nationalism, we can say any of those things. But either way, we've got to figure out how the fuck we fix this. Because this is terrible. This is somebody that should have been on our side and isn't on our side and changed somehow all of their views. And they were convinced by people like Ben Shapiro and Tim Pool and Elon Musk. And I mean, maybe it was the COVID stuff. Maybe it was the COVID denialism. Like, and he got lost with that. But even like his own friends, like his comedian friends, like they're not even having it. Here's Rogan now talking about like how great this new media is. Like that Twitter. By the way, wearing a Texas Longhorn shirt is wild. Joe Rogan hates sports. He does not like sports. Wearing a Texas Longhorn shirt is a fuck you to liberals. Just so you know, like you see anybody that goes to Texas and they throw on that Longhorn shirt, white dude that has no affiliation with sports, that's a fuck you to liberals. And he's just openly doing it now.
Like there's this giant resistance right now to the idea.
I also want to real quick. I want to show you the difference. Just notice the tone difference between Joe Rogan when he's talking about things that he's deeply passionate about, helping poor people, helping those who didn't get the same luck that some of us got, and how passionately and how clearly he speaks. And now this is a confused, tired man. Just listen to the tone difference. He's confused. He has a lot of questions. He doesn't have any answers, and he's tired.
Like there's this giant resistance right now to the idea that X is the news source of the world.
They're the mainstream.
It is.
They're the mainstream.
It's the news source of the world. You and these people that want to cling to authority and say, no, you're not. You're, goddamn it, you're not you're not a journalist. You're not this, that. You guys fucked us too many times.
Yeah.
And we don't believe you anymore. And so.
With what? I don't know if there's conservatives here. You guys are welcome up. I'd love to hear it. Like, what did the media lie to you about? This idea that the mainstream media is lying to people. Like, I think what the mainstream media's biggest problem is they are all pussies. That's what I think that their real problem is. That they won't report real things. That they won't take a stand on real things. That they want to cover shit like, with all due respect to anybody who cares about this, like we want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein for 8 fucking years. Okay? Like, let the justice system do its job. We don't need to cover Jeffrey Epstein for 8 fucking years. We could have been doing the stuff that Joe Rogan was doing. We could have been talking about universal health care this entire time. The further away we get from the election, the more we recognize just how fucked up the DNC is. And I mean fucked up in the way that, like, they don't understand how to message to anybody. The wrong people are in power. And frankly, like, I feel a little dumb. I think that as the election got closer, I took my content and I took what they were saying and I was like, they must know. And I changed my content to match closer to what theirs was. I'm like, this is the stuff that people care about. Turns out nobody fucking cared. Nobody. Like I was looking at, somebody sent graphs in Discord today showing like the the amount of the vote difference in every swing state. And in basically every swing state, Trump was able to get more votes. And we sat there a week before and we were like, hey, there's no way there's this many people who are going to fall for this. And then you find out they did fall for it. And is it because they're stupid? No, it's because they're better messengers. It's because they figured out how to take their message and make it palatable, even if that message wasn't true. They have the memory of 2 weeks. Yeah. Jen, thanks. I've got that one in here. Appreciate it. I'll cover that. Let's keep going with Joe here.
The only way for us to find out what's real and what's not real is someone posts it online, and then everybody looks at it, and then you get the community notes. And that's way better than the New York Times telling me that the Fruit Loops in Canada are exactly the same as the Fruit Loops in America, except for a bunch of shit that's banned.
Does anybody know what he's talking about there? I don't know. Let me look up Fruit Loops in Canada. Does anybody know what that is? Is there like is this about like the Yellow 5? I don't know what he's talking about. Do you guys know? Oh, let's see. This is a New York Times fact check. The New York Times offered a baffling fact check of RFK's claim that a popular breakfast cereal in the United States contained several artificial ingredients. Let's see. So Kennedy suggested the second Trump administration could eliminate entire departments. In some categories, there are entire departments like the nutrition department and the FDA. They have to go. They're not doing their job. We have to go. Why do we have Fruit Loops in this country that have 18 or 19 ingredients, and you go to Canada and it's got 2 or 3? New York Times fact checked it. What is this? What's this fact check? Sorry, I'll show you guys so you can follow along with me. What is the fact check? I don't know what he's talking about. But weird. I don't know if that's true or not. But like nobody should be surprised that our food sources have way more ingredients than others. This is the other thing. Like, how did this become their issue? How did they get this issue? This has been us. We've been talking about this for a decade. I was fighting against this when I was a Republican. We were like, shut up, Michelle Obama. You can't change school lunches. This is America. We whatever the fuck we want. And the liberals were like, nah, could we? Maybe we just don't give people the option to eat like the worst possible food in the world. And we're like, nah, fuck you, freedom, baby. And now here we are. We've somehow lost this battle. Somehow the Republicans have won this battle now. After fighting against this exact thing for decades, we lost the messaging battle. And by the way, none of this is going to get done. RFK's hated. And RFK's probably not going to pass confirmation. This stuff's not going to happen. Not under this administration. There's too much money from the food manufacturers being spent on lobbying here.
And that's the whole point of the
RFK is loved by who? Who's RFK loved by? RFK is loved by people who find him useful. When he was running for president, he was getting like 3% of the vote. Don't tell me he was loved.
Whole fucking thing. Yeah. But meanwhile, they're fact checking RFK Jr. So
and MAGA,
I
guess,
trust
loves
you
him
anymore either.
That's true.
You can't.
Not his family.
So it's like that's what's going on.
You can't gloss over the community notes.
You can't.
That's it.
It's it.
That's.
Except for Elon deletes community notes on his. This is the problem that we have with community notes. Is community notes only seem to matter to people when it doesn't, when it confirms what they think. If you see a community note, and you back me up on any of this, if I go to Elon Musk, I pull up something he said, and it's got a community note, and I show that to a Republican, what are they going to say, guys? What's going to be the response? Yeah, that's Mike Rowe. Doing dirty jobs like going on Rogan. Censoring or, oh no, dude, that's just what they do. They call everything we say fake news. What really happened at Twitter is they took away facts and they've removed the facts, and now it's community notes, and you can say whatever you want on the community notes. Like I saw one today that was like, it was about Joe Biden pardoning Hunter, and it's like Joe Biden did in I could let's see if I can find it. It was something like Joe Biden is a liar. It's like that's not a community note. That's just your opinion. These aren't like, they're not fact checks. Let me see if I can find this one. No, that's not it. This is it. All right. So Joe Biden tweeted, "No one is above the law." This was from May 2024. And somebody's gone back now and done a community note. Joe Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, of all criminal convictions. According to Joe Biden's actions, he and his son are, in fact, above the law. That's not a community note. Like, that's not a fact check. That's just a thing that people are saying. And the way that a community note gets elevated is the more people like it. See, it's a self-sustaining prophecy here on Twitter. We're fact checking, but we're not fact checking. We're just allowing the most popular thing on your website to be pushed. That's why we say, like, Twitter is not the new media. It is harder than ever to find facts on Twitter. Harder than ever. I used to be able to do my whole show 3 months ago. I could do my whole show prep on Twitter. I could find both sides of every story. Now I can't. And part of that probably has to do with the exodus from Twitter and the people who were doing fact checking getting out of there, but maybe not. Let me read a message from Swish. Swish says, "Last night's Snow Bowl. Sorry, Double Daddy. Yeah, the Niners lost last night, and quite frankly, I fell asleep in the middle of the game. I didn't watch it at all. Fuck the 49ers, I guess. And that's a reminder. In order to keep this show going, guys, we do rely on donations, whether through gifts, through subscribing, through going to YouTube, clicking, liking, subscribing, or by sending donations. If you send a donation, I'll be happy to read any message that you send. But that's how. If we don't get the donations, I lose Jen. And then what did we do this for? What did we do this all for if we're not doing it for Jen? I think that's why we're all here. Like Mayor Pete's community note about EV charging stations. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Lorraine. Yeah, Elon Musk put up a quote about EV charging stations saying there were only 8 built in the country, which was a lie. The community noted it. Nobody cared. Everybody just retweeted Elon Musk. And again, he gets stuff taken down. When he gets community noted and he doesn't like it, he'll just remove the community note. All right, here's the last. Well, let's finish with this, Rogan, right here. Sorry.
The truth cam.
Oh, it's a solution
on Twitter.
It's the solution to this thing that we're trying to figure out. How do we know what's true and what's not true? You get a consensus. There's enough people that actually can read scientific papers. There's enough people that know the field that's being discussed. Or you're going to get, out of the hundreds of millions of people on X, you're going to get an expert who's going to say, this is why, this is incorrect, and this is how you're supposed to read it. And then everybody goes, oh, okay, this is wrong.
Except for that's not what happens. Right? Even if there is an expert, if that expert writes a community note and the people don't like what the expert says, that's not going to be the community note. The community note's going to be whatever's the most popular response, right? So, for example, if you put up like a COVID conspiracy saying that the number one reason somebody gets myocarditis is the vaccine, and somebody says, actually, if you look at studies, myocarditis is more likely in people who have got the COVID virus. Nobody would care, right? It may not even make community notes if not enough people liked it. But then if somebody was like, this proves the federal government is lying to us and wants to control us with vaccines, that community note can be pushed to the front. It's like it's a democracy of truth, which is a weird way to handle truth. If we always did a democracy of truth, like the earth would still be flat, the earth would be revolving around the sun. Frogs would not be being turned gay by the I think it was fluoride. All these things that we now know are true. They wouldn't be true anymore. We just would not be able to evolve at all. Because the consensus of people in the moment does not mean that's right. That's how we vote. It's a weird way to fact check, though. I want a Republican truce. That'd be cool. It's called ad populum fallacy. Thank you. Thank you, God. Oh, God, welcome here. Oh, Hoodie's here. Hey, I know you guys are probably pissed at Hoodie. Hoodie, I sent you a message. I just want to say, Hoodie, I hate virtually every goddamn view you have, but I appreciate you saying nice things about me and standing up for me a little bit this last week. I appreciate that, but maybe one day you'll change your views. That would be even cooler. I'll trade for that.
Well, now you know. And if you can just do a little research and go through that paper or go through that thread, you'll if you're an objective person, you'll probably get a good sense of who's right and who's wrong.
It's a weird dichotomy, though, right? Like skepticism. Look,
it's also bizarre to say that people will read the community notes, then they'll go read the like the documentation associated with it and the medical studies associated with it. No, nobody's doing that. Almost nobody does that. Everybody just reads what they read and they run with it. Almost nobody reads medical studies.
Have to be skeptical.
Yes.
But part of the reason we have to be as skeptical as we are is because so much of the media has abdicated on skepticism, and they've become something else, something else. And so, you can't really blame people for, considering what we used to dismiss as a conspiracy theory when the theories start to get borne out and when there's such a level of eroded trust in one.
That's another part that we got to figure out how we address this, because the argument that you're hearing from, at least that I'm hearing from my right-wing friends, is like, yeah, you call them a conspiracy theory until they turn out to be true. Which one turned out to be true? What's the conspiracy theory that we accused the right of that turned out to be true? I can't think of any. Can you? Like this is like phony victimhood. And now it's just an alternate reality. What are we talking about? Yeah, that's a good point. Who said that? Who said key point erode trust? Who was that? Adika. Yeah. But what happened is people like Joe Rogan, people like Mike Rowe, people like Ben Shapiro, they eroded trust by lying to you. So what they do is they tell you these conspiracy theories are real. And then when they turn out not to be real, they just say things like, well, if they're turning out to be real, which one was real? Were they right about, did Donald Trump's team work with Russia? Absolutely. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's something that's just true. Did Trump win the election in 2020? Absolutely not. That's not a conspiracy theory. Where are COVID? Where was that conspiracy theory? Where are these conspiracy theories that they're now hanging their hats on, saying like, oh, we were right about this one? When were you guys right about one? This is just revisionist history. And this is the epitome of privilege, right? When you sit in a place where your life's going okay and you care. I mean, look, nobody who's broke and trying to make it day to day and going out there and scraping for their family, none of those people are sitting around going, COVID was a bioweapon that was made by the Bilderbergs to take out the United States and have a new one world order. No, they're like, we're going to figure out how to live today. It's a really privileged position to be able to go down conspiracy rabbit holes. But again, which ones were proven? I don't remember any.
Once credible institutions.
By the Build-A-Bears.
Well, that's also the whole reason for the disdain for conspiracy theorists in the first place, is that, no, you're not an expert. I'm the expert, and you're wrong. But then
that's what conspiracy theorists are doing. They're saying, you're not the expert. I'm the expert. You're wrong. It's bizarre to hear Joe Rogan say this. That's what both people are doing. The experts are saying, we're the experts, here's the data. The conspiracy theorists are saying, no, we're actually the experts, here's our data. And then you're supposed to figure out which one is true. And Joe Rogan is doing the Republican thing, that we ask questions and we don't get answers. No, all of this is just like questions that they're asking because they don't have answers to any of this. And the reason for that is they're all conspiracy theories.
When they're wrong, there's no repercussions. They never want to say, we were wrong about all this.
Yeah.
We're sorry. We were wrong about masking. We were wrong about...
They were correct about masking.
Social distancing.
They were correct about social distancing.
Wrong about all of it.
Where's
it's all bullshit.
Where's the humility, man?
Yeah, no humility. Because
every fucking study that exists says masks saved lives, social distancing saved lives, and and they want to talk about humility in this direction. This is why, messaging wins. Messaging beats substance, and this is the clearest example of that. He just got done a minute ago saying people are smart. People can read medical studies. People can figure out what's true. Well, why 4 years later, 3.5 years later, have you not figured it out? Because we have medical studies now. We know all of this. This is a narrative that's not based on anything scientific. This is where, we got to figure out how to combat this. I don't know the answer yet, but maybe it's through this. It's just asking questions. Republicans just ask questions and then stop.
They're not humans. And that's why you don't believe them, because they're just people reading off bullshit off a teleprompter. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. And nobody wants that anymore. You don't have to have that anymore. And that's why X has emerged and Substack and all these different things as like the place where people go to get actual information. And that's why they like podcasts, because it's just the three of us in this room. That's it. The whoever is the
and
numbers
Carl.
of people.
I think that's incorrect. I think that X does well and podcasts do well because people are lazy inherently. And they like getting their information fed to them, which is fair. Like there's podcasts I listen to. But like if you're listening to a podcast and the host doesn't seem to know the answer and the host is just saying like, I believe it because of this, maybe go check it out. It's true. That's why people like podcasts, but it's what's not true is that because you have X and because you have a podcast, those are the truth tellers. But I do think that for the right, that this is kind of what they see. They see these folks as being the truth tellers because they agree with them. It's not really about fact checking. Otherwise, Joe Rogan wouldn't hold these opinions.
And Carl's out cold now. But the numbers of people that are listening is like it's just this crazy number that are all just listening to three people. So there's no producer, there's no all that shit that gets in the way of things has been
producers, fact checks, graphics, sources, all that shit that just gets in the way. All that shit that gets in the way of three people having a conversation. And if it's three people having a conversation, great, but can you stop pretending like the three people having that conversation means that what you're saying is correct? That would be terrific. That's the real, I don't know what we do about this. I don't know. Joe Rogan has a very outsized influence on people. Even in the comedy world where he's not really that respected of a comedian, you've seen the shift in comedy a little bit. Like if you watch Kill Tony, you've seen as Trump got more and more popular, like it got more and more racist. It got more and more bigoted, it sucks. I mean, comedy's comedy. Comedy goes after everybody. But there's at least a tone change there. Christopher sent a message, said, "This is for Jen. Fuck Jay." Thanks, Christopher. I agree with that. Happy December, by the way, everybody. Welcome to December. Joyce says, "Thank you." Appreciate it, Joyce. Thank you. Sergio says, "Stop grifting RTP." That's right. That's right. I don't need to hear that word for a little while. I heard that word so many times. It comes out in a certain tone now. Valerie says, "I appreciate the work you and Jen do for us." Thank you. Thank you, Valerie. Let me do the math there. Is that right? Did I do that math right? Perfect. All right. Let me get to the next Rogan clip. There's only one more Rogan thing. So if you were here for... If you're not here for Joe Rogan, don't worry. We're almost done with Joe Rogan today. This is Joe Rogan on, I think this is called like Protect Our Parks or like Save Our Parks. I might be wrong about this. He brings on comedians here. So just to see, there's Joe Rogan. He looks so little when he's next to other people. Like he's so compact, like a mini fridge. Behind him smoking is or not doing anything like that. Behind him smoking hot, Mark Norman. Across from Mark Norman is Shane Gillis, and then I believe that's Ari Shaffir next to him. But Joe Rogan is like turned his own people, like his own comedians against him. And this is where you see the real change. And this is something I think a lot of us probably could learn from, because a lot of us get tied up in politics and it infiltrates our entire lives. And it's hard to have discussions outside of politics. That's what we're seeing with Joe Rogan now. Like he has Shane Gillis, who's one of the best comedians in the world. And then Mark Norman who's all right. And Ari Shaffir, who's dog shit. But for some reason they keep bringing him up. Like he's just actually not funny. I don't know. I don't think there's such a thing as an Ari Shaffir fan. He's just actually not funny. But just here's Joe Rogan. Like he can't even have a normal conversation with his friends and they're not having it.
What you're seeing with Trump, regardless of his flaws, is a massive concentrated psyop. They've distorted who he is to the point where most people think that way.
How would Joe Rogan interviewed Donald Trump one time. I think this is a weird thing for people to say. And I think we should also not do this with our politicians. We don't fucking know them. We don't. We have no idea who these people are. We can only judge them based on their actions. And when they call it a psyop, what they're talking about is all the accusations against Donald Trump. And we're not necessarily saying that this makes him a bad person, but you should be aware of it. The PSYOP talk is crazy. Like, this was QAnon a year ago, or 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We used to laugh at this collectively. Like, as a country, we laughed at QAnon. We're like, stop calling everything a fucking PSYOP. And every time Donald Trump would tweet, they're like, look at this. There's symbolism in here. His text creates a shape, and that shape is of a school bus, and that means that it's magic school bus. So I think that Donald Trump is going to go inside the body and understand the circulatory system of humans for magic school bus. Like, it was that dumb. And now Joe Rogan's just the same guy. He's just talking about psyops. By the way, I saw. Anybody see this? Let me actually find this. This is the craziest shit. Did you guys watch Magic School Bus growing up? Anybody watch that? All right. Somebody sent this the other day in the in Discord. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. This is fucking wild. Sorry, you're getting my ADHD brain today. Son of a bitch. All right, Jen, will you see if you can find that? Sorry, we'll find it later. I'll show you guys later. It's on Netflix. I got to watch it with my daughter. It's going to be insane. All right, back to Joe Rogan. Sorry.
What you're seeing with Trump, regardless of his flaws, is a massive, concentrated psyop. They've distorted who he is to the point where most people think that way. They've had narratives.
What is a psyop? I keep hearing that.
Psychological operation where they've decided to distort people's perceptions of things.
Yeah, when you tell an older liberal that
It's interesting. So was Joe Rogan was that a psyop when Joe Rogan was talking about separating families? Was that a psyop? I wonder if Joe Rogan looks back. Does he believe he was part of that? Like he got included in that psyop? And it's interesting. Like, if you believed something about something, let's say you believed a bunch of crazy shit about me. Okay, you believe whatever the worst stories you could think of me, and you've read articles about it. There's all this, and then you meet me one time, and I'm really nice to you during that one time. Is that grounds for you to not believe or to believe me going forward? Because I was nice to you and you enjoyed your time with me? That's a silly reason to believe somebody. And that's essentially what Joe Rogan has said here. Joe Rogan, for years, I'm not voting for Trump. I'm not voting for Trump. I don't want Trump. Trump comes on. Everything you guys ever said about Donald Trump is wrong. Even though multiple times when he interviewed Trump, he asked for data, he asked for sources, he asked for evidence backing up Trump's claim. And not once did Trump give it to him. He just kept saying, oh, I'll give it to you later. And then Joe Rogan walked away from that interview and said, everybody's wrong about him.
The Obama deportations were higher than the Trump deportations. They go, no, what? No. And you go, no, let me just Google deportations Obama versus Trump. And you go, it's lower. They go, wait, what? Like, here's 19 straight articles saying that I'm right.
Yeah.
And they go, that doesn't make sense. And you go, right. Focus on what's giving you the reality of the world.
Check this out. Jamie, go to that Hillary Clinton thing.
Okay, true, right? Obama did deport more people than Trump, which is, again, ironic coming in this direction. It's true that there are liberals that if you said that to them, they'd be like, that's bullshit. Obama was the king. He knew he would never do anything like that. He absolutely did. Under his administration, they absolutely did. And Hillary Clinton was like that too. And he's going to show this clip of Hillary Clinton in promoting this idea that Hillary Clinton is more MAGA than MAGA. You tell me whether or not this is more MAGA than the current MAGA response to illegal immigration.
That I texted you today.
JMO.
This one is wild. This is Hillary Clinton in 2008. And Hillary Clinton saying some wild MAGA type shit about.
Oh, she used to say the wildest shit.
Wildest shit about illegal immigrants.
Wasn't she?
Hold on. Go back from the beginning. Do it from the beginning.
That was weird. Okay. It only came in my left ear. That fucked me up.
But want to hear it.
We got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they...
She's a Republican.
If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes.
Mm.
And you have to try to learn English.
Oh,
and you have to wait in line.
Anyone
You
else
have to
hard?
wait in line. You have to wait in line, and everybody's cheering.
So,
2008, Hillary Clinton was more MAGA than Trump.
How's that more fucking MAGA? How's that more? She's talking about a pathway to citizenship. Donald Trump refused to negotiate a pathway to citizenship. This is not more MAGA than MAGA. I don't know what to do with fucking Joe Rogan. Does he not know what MAGA is? Has he not seen Tom Homan? Tom Homan says we're deporting everybody who's here illegally. It doesn't matter if you committed a crime or not. Just by being here, you've committed a crime. And oh, by the way, we're sending your families with you. She's talking about amnesty here. The reality is that was a neutral position. Republicans and Democrats held that same position. You can go back and you can watch a debate between George Bush Sr. and Ronald Reagan, and I don't remember who else is on the stage with them, and they're all saying, like, Ronald Reagan and George Bush are like, yeah, we need a pathway to citizenship. We need amnesty. By the way, Reagan gave amnesty. This is Reagan. This is Ronald Reagan border policies. MAGA policies are not this. This is not more MAGA than MAGA. This is way less MAGA than MAGA. And yeah, Hillary Clinton's just a neocon, essentially. Like, she didn't hold any real liberal views. She was just right down the middle. She was a calculated politician who tried to find the middle in everything that she did. That's who Hillary Clinton was. I don't know what I'm talking about her like she's dead, but she's not in politics anymore. So that's how she campaigned. That's how all of that. That's what Bush sounded like. That's what Obama sounded like. That's what Romney sounded like. It's what John Kerry sounded like. It's what Al Gore sounded like. It's literally what everybody in this country has sounded like for 50 years until Trump showed up and he's like, fuck them all. Get rid of everybody. We're deporting everyone. This is not more MAGA than MAGA, but this is you get a peek into Joe Rogan's brain. Somebody sent him that. It elicited emotions, and he's sharing it with his friends. And I just wanted to show the end of this because his friends do not give a fuck, especially Mark Norman. And Mark Norman figures out a great way to just like not take this seriously.
Everybody's cheering. 2008, Hillary Clinton was more MAGA than Trump.
She's always been a Republican.
But how about that?
Wow.
More MAGA than Trump.
And then
it's
you couldn't believe that if you watched the news.
illusion. It's all a fucking illusion.
All right, maybe it cut out. Shit, Mark Norman just like does word association, ends it. That sounds like Alex Jones. It's not an illusion. You just played a real clip. You just played a real clip of somebody saying something. By the way, that's eerily similar to Kamala Harris's views. If you are here in this country and you committed a crime, you will be deported and you will go to the back of the line. If you are here and you haven't committed a crime, we'll work with you to try and come up with a pathway to citizenship. This is what Trump was campaigning against in this last election. This is the exact same thing he was campaigning against. This is not more MAGA. It is MAGA. Thank you. Jen is amazing. This was the picture I was talking about. Just gonna pull up. Shit. How do I move this? There we go. Never forget when Miss Frizzle took the kids to get nutted on by salmon. You see the student here in the egg, and then the salmon just coming across the top and blasting students. We used to all watch this to be educated. Miss Frizzle. I miss Miss Frizzle. And then, sorry, they also went inside one of their students' body, and then they had to figure out a way to exit, and then this existed. Those captions I don't think are correct, but this was also part of Magic School Bus. But did we learn something? Yes, we did. We absolutely learned something. You're right about that. Oh, Jen is the great. Young Jamie gets a lot of credit for being able to find things. That's Joe Rogan's producer. I think Jen's far better than Joe Rogan. That took her like 4 seconds to find that. There we go. Who saw Osmosis Jones? I don't know if I saw Osmosis Jones. All right, we're done with Joe Rogan, I think, today. Let's go to well, yeah, I think we ought to just talk about this because I think this is fair. Sorry we have to see libs of TikTok today. This is Joe Rogan.
As we sit here
or Joe
in
Rogan,
Normandy.
excuse me, Joe Biden from 2022, I think, 2023. This is an interview he did with, is that ABC News? Yeah, ABC News, talking about pardoning his son.
As we sit here in Normandy, your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
As we
I don't know what we do about that. I don't think we should defend that. Here's a statement from Joe Biden. Today, I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word even as I've watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. The charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion other than Hunter was singled out because he is my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I've followed a simple principle: just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but I have wrestled with this. I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And I once made this decision, and once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. Totally fair. I think all of that is fair, actually. I think it is 100% fair to criticize Joe Biden for going against his promise not to pardon his son. I think he should have chosen his words a little better. But yeah, I don't think that Hunter Biden needs to be investigated further. We've had 4 years of this. The Republicans now are calling like, oh, right as we're about to take power. Chris Wray was the director of the FBI this entire time. He was Trump's appointee. And the only reason he's still in power is because Biden believes that the FBI director, who you're supposed to have for 10 years, by the way, if you get given the position of FBI director, it's basically understood that you get a 10-year term. Now, you do work at at the discretion of the president. The president can fire you at any time, which we found out during the Trump administration. I think he fired 3 FBI directors before he landed here. And then for 4 years, we've had consistency. Imagine being at the FBI right now after 4 years of finally some consistency. And you're like, all right, finally, we understand our job. You have a non-FBI person who has screamed conspiracy theories about your department being nominated to be the head. Like, the FBI has investigated Hunter Biden relentlessly. We know everything. The Republicans in Congress have held hearing after hearing after hearing. They've had interviews. They've subpoenaed people. And 4 years later, not only do we not have evidence of a crime, we don't have a crime. They can't even tell us what the crime is. So I think it's fair to criticize Joe Biden, but I also probably would have done the same thing. I also probably would have pardoned my son. And we're going to have to eat that, because it's the same thing I said about Trump. Like, we don't know Joe Biden. We don't know Hunter Biden. Maybe there are some crimes we don't know about. I don't think we can rule that out completely. But if what he's saying is true, I would probably do the same thing. I would probably also pardon my son. I don't know why presidents can pardon people. I think that's fucking insane. I don't know why we have pardons at this point. Multiple members of Trump's incoming staff were recipients of pardons from him. Like, I don't know why the president has this unilateral power, and sometimes they use it for good. Trump had some good pardons. There were some people that got pardoned at the end of his presidency that I thought were good pardons. People who had been jailed for like marijuana possession or even distribution, but on marijuana charges, like first-time offenders that have been jailed. I like those sentences being commuted. I like pardons in that case, but there's got to be some sort of restriction we put on pardons. This is crazy. Charles Kushner, Jared Kushner's dad, who defrauded banks, defrauded the government, stole from investors, went to prison, had his crimes pardoned, and now he's the UN ambassador to France or UN. What is Kushner's job? Was it France? It's going to be ambassador to France, I think. Yeah, thank you, France. Yeah, just openly putting criminals back in the White House. So I look, it's something that we should probably address, and it's going to come up all day with Republicans. But we should remind Republicans of some of the people that Trump pardoned. Did I have it on here? Let me see if I have it on here. There's actually let me just pull up. See if I can find. Yeah, these were the notable ones. This was from CNN from. With it 2020, but let me just give you some of the names. Roger Stone, he was convicted of crimes that included lying to Congress. In part, prosecutors said to protect the president. Early in the year, the president commuted Stone's prison sentence. Charles Kushner, he had served time for pleading guilty to 16 counts of tax evasion, 1 count of retaliating against a federal witness, and another count of lying to the FEC. Paul Manafort, he had a 7.5-year prison for tax and banking crimes, including foreign banking and tax crimes. Margaret Hunter, this is Duncan Hunter right here. His wife was pardoned. She pled guilty to misusing campaign funds, along with Duncan Hunter here, who I think it's like, where's his name? I think it was like $200,000. Yeah. 11 months in prison for misuse of more than $200,000 in campaign funds for personal expenses. Just the swamp. Like, why is the guy who's so anti-swamp getting pardoning swamp creatures? We keep going. Papadopoulos lied during the Russia investigation. Alex van der Zwaan, he was a Dutch leader that lied to the Mueller investigation. There's Duncan Hunter. Chris Collins, he was a congressman in New York. He pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit securities fraud and 1 count of making a false statement, and was serving a 26-month sentence. These 4 Blackwater guards, that's these Dustin Hurd, Evan Liberty, Nicholas Slatton, and Paul Slow. They were pardoned. They were convicted by a federal jury for their involvement in the shooting of Iraqi civilians. These were not members of the military. These were members of Blackwater, a private militia. They were not serving as members of our military. And I remember at the time I was married, my wife's company, one of these people, I won't say which one, had a spouse that worked at the company, and they raised money and paid Donald Trump hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then suddenly this pardon came. I read the emails. They were fundraising like crazy, and they are big Trump donors, the people who own that company too. And they raised a bunch of money to get this guy off the hook. They murdered an Iraqi civilian while not as members of the United States military, while working for Blackwater. Who else do we have? 2 Border Patrol agents who were pardoned. They were convicted in 2006 of shooting and wounding an unarmed, undocumented immigrant and then covering it up. They shot an undocumented immigrant, covered it up, and they got a pardon from Trump. Alfonso Costa, a dentist who pled guilty to healthcare fraud. Alfred Crum pled guilty to illegally distilling moonshine from 1952. I like that pardon. I think that's a good pardon. I like that they got rid of his record for distilling moonshine. Weldon Angelos, sentenced to 55 years for selling MMJ and carrying a weapon. I like that pardon. Phil Lyman, this is a guy from my home state in Utah, county commissioner in Utah, who was sentenced to 10 days in jail for his protest of ATV restrictions on federal land. There were restrictions. I think this was down in the Bears' ears, and he's just like, fuck it, we're going to do it anyways. And he led people protesting, just openly breaking the rules against federal lands. Otis Gordon, possession with intent to distribute. Steve Stockman, he's a congressman from Texas who was convicted by a jury of 24 felonies, including fraud and money laundering. There's a little more deep state there. That's just a Republican congressperson who committed a dozen felonies, and Trump pardoned him. Phyllis Formas, nursing home mogul, convicted of paying bribes in Medicare fraud case. That has a lot to do with Rick Scott. This man was involved with Rick Scott. So there we go. And then, of course, Michael Flynn. He got pardoned, clearing him from anything related to the investigation the FBI conducted into his contacts with Russia. And this is one I liked, Alice Marie Johnson. That was a good one. And John Ponder, convicted bank robber and founder of CEO of Hope for Prisoners. I liked that one. Susan B. Anthony, that was an interesting one. All right, that's all. What's up, Jen?
Morning, sunshine.
Hey.
So I've got a beef to pick.
Nice. With me?
With everyone in here.
Uh-oh.
Why are we not at 100K likes?
Oh, no. What are we
I mean, this is, I have to say, you guys are really, really slacking on this one. The likes need to be better.
I think that's on me. I think I've just got to be a little better.
That's probably true. Everything is your fault.
That's true.
So, yeah, just wanted to come up. We need to get the likes up. We should have a lot more likes and shares. And then also this gift goal. We got about 2 hours left? A little over 2 hours with 800 people. We could blow this out just like Jay's back.
Come on. Don't start that shit.
So, guys, if you want to send a message with, something to make Jay laugh, make me laugh, all that fun stuff, that would be awesome. And if you guys are in requests, if you're not opposition, please hop out because we're only taking opposition right now.
That's our bad with this format. As soon as you come up,
Yes.
It winds up. Yeah, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
so you might want to check to see if you're in requests because you might be. So, but yeah. So, yeah, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do that. And then also if you'd like an invite to the Discord, message any mod and we can get you an invitation.
Perfect. Thanks, Jen. Brett says, say, I'm a little teapot. Brett, I am a little teapot. Hope you enjoyed that. I don't know if that's like a kink thing for you, Brett, but I love you, buddy. Nancy says, love all that you do. Thank you, Nancy. Tim says, Google the paradox of tolerance. Paradox of tolerance. Let's see. I feel like we looked this up a couple days ago, didn't we? Let's see. Can Wikipedia be a good enough source here? The other one looked like it was going to have a bunch of shit I had to read. The paradox of tolerance is a philosophical concept suggesting that if a society extends tolerance to those who are intolerant, it risks enabling the eventual dominance of intolerance, thereby undermining the very principle of tolerance. This paradox was articulated by Karl Popper, where he argued that a truly tolerant society must retain the right to deny tolerance to those who promote intolerance. Popper posited that if intolerant ideologies are allowed unchecked expression, they could exploit open society values to erode. Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think that that's kind of, and I think that that's played out so many times. And I think it's going to play out with Twitter too. It's similar to what happened with Reddit. It's what happened with 4chan. It's what happened with every platform, online platform who has said like, we're unlimited free speech. This is what happens. It ultimately gets destroyed. It just becomes like a schmotzy hellhole. So I actually do agree with that. I think that I think that sometimes we take that a little far where, somebody has, maybe slightly intolerant views that maybe we could discuss and find a little bit better common ground. But for the most part, I agree with that you can't, you just, in society, if you have no restrictions on speech, and I mean like societally, like if we all just agree that anybody can say anything, it winds up turning into a hateful place because the hateful rhetoric gets louder and people don't want to engage in it and they get quieter, and eventually you have the most hateful people at the top leading things, which is essentially what happened to the Republican Party, by the way. It used to be that you guys there's no way, like you wouldn't have put up somebody like Pete Hegseth. You wouldn't have put up Matt Gaetz. You wouldn't have put up Donald Trump. But like, it's okay to say whatever the fuck you want now, no matter how racist or bigoted it is. And that's because the GOP saw like we need a big umbrella. We've got to go out and get all the voters we possibly can, and that's going to include some racists. That's going to include some bigots, and we have to make them feel comfortable while we're here. Not as comfortable as apparently Destiny made Nick Fuentes feel, but like comfortable. I have no idea if that story's true. Somebody asked me to cover it today. Fucking wild if that's true. I also don't care if it's true, but it's still wild. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up, because I didn't know about it either till earlier. Did I get all? Let me make sure I got all the comments. I think there was. There we go. Terry says Marjorie Taylor Greene said she's keeping Hunter's pics. Yeah, it's probably her desktop picture. Benny says, for a possible future pardon, got to cover my bases. I'll sell pardons cheap. If I was president, I'd sell them real cheap. And then this was from Mary for RTP Media. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Do some quick math. All right. I'll update that goal. But if you are here and wait, did I do that right? If you are here and you are opposition, though, the box is open if you want to discuss any of this stuff, or even just if you want to talk about how we get that messaging across. How do we convince Republicans to stop believing crazy shit? And here's a good example. Toots, what do you got for me? Speaking of believing crazy shit, what's up, dude?
Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Thanks, brother. Did you have a good one?
I had a great one. Thank you so much.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you talk about tolerance and intolerance, I think you got it backwards. Everybody who leaves the left says the same exact thing, that they've never felt so much anger and hatred until they left the Democrat Party. I mean,
I think people say that no matter which way they leave, by the way, Toots. I can just say from my experience, the most hate I've ever gotten was from right-wingers. But that's because I leave. And I think that there's people on both sides that make it really difficult to leave. But I don't think that, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think I think that has more to do with people who think that you can't switch parties.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, I don't see you getting that much hate over here. These people come on, they're very respectful.
Brother, with all due respect, like you should see my DMs. You should see them. They're bad. They're bad.
Well, I can appreciate that too. Yeah. So, what do you think? Now, to me, I think that America now, we're going to see a complete difference. We just saw 4 years of what Democrat rule looks like. All right. We saw what it was under Trump. Now you're going to see everything go back to normal again.
Well, it wasn't Democrat rule, right? Like Republicans held the House for the last 2 years.
They did.
Yeah. So it was like 2 years of Democrat rule and then 2 years of literally nothing got done because Republicans blocked everything, right?
Well, I think they saved America by blocking everything. We're supposed to be a limited government. We're not supposed to, everything is so out of control. The reason why Trump was so successful his first 4 years was because of he got rid of a lot of regulations.
Where was he successful? What are you talking about?
Where was he successful?
Yeah.
He brought back businesses to America.
Yeah. He had a net loss in manufacturing, Toots.
I don't know where you get your information from. It's really wild. We're in two different worlds.
I know. Have you looked up what were the net just Google right now, net manufacturing jobs under Trump?
I mean,
this is the reason that we get on different pages, and I can tell you is that Republicans are going to talk about the jobs that came back under Trump. And they're not going to talk about the jobs that left under Trump. So they'll say things like, this company showed up and they brought 10,000 or 1,000 manufacturing jobs. What a success. And then they go out and they're like, look, he's bringing manufacturing jobs back. But what they're not telling you is about the ones that left.
Well, this is the way I look at it. I look at it like this.
But why don't you just look at it instead of telling me how you look at it? Why don't we look at this example right now as a good example of like how we find how we find a middle ground?
I told you we're in two different worlds, so you just told me how you look at it.
No. I'm going to tell you. No. What I'm saying is, why don't we? I know. I agree.
That's your way to do it, but I'm going to tell you how I do.
Brother, Toots. I'm saying that you and I live in two different worlds. I'm agreeing with you. What I'm trying to figure out is how do we figure out what's real?
Now we're going to show. So you just show me your way. Now just hear me out.
Sure.
I look at it. All right. So when Trump was president, in his second year, all of a sudden the Democrats panicking, they started saying the only way we're going to stop Trump, we have to stop this great economy. This is literally out of the Democrats' words.
Who said that?
Bill Maher said it on his show.
Bill Maher?
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher said we have to stop this great economy?
Yes. The only way we're going to stop
When did
Trump,
he say that?
He said it on his show. He said it on one of his shows.
I mean, I don't think he said that, but even then, like, I just telling you from a leftist perspective, none of us give a fuck about Bill Maher. He's a comedian.
Well, he's very influential in the Democrat.
He's not. He's not. He's far more influential on your side of the aisle. None of us care about him. I'm telling you, we don't care. We've abandoned. Most people have abandoned Bill Maher. He's does comedy for old people.
Okay. So, but anyway, so when he was the big shot on the Democrat Party,
he never was.
2018, he had a big following. He's a big shot on the Democrat Party, and he was the one saying we have to stop this economy. Now and then let's just quote what Obama said.
When did he say that?
He said it on one of his shows.
Like I'm Googling it and I can't find any evidence that he said that.
Okay, well, he definitely said it. But anyway, because I heard him say it. But anyway,
the economy. Wait, I don't get it. The economy. Trump inherited a booming economy.
Okay, so if that's the case, then why, when Trump was saying, I'm going to bring back jobs, Obama said, how's he going to do that? What has he got, a magic wand? Obama knew that there's no way to bring back jobs because he already destroyed all our jobs. So he's like, there's no way. And what is he going to do? He's got a magic wand?
You're talking about manufacturing jobs, right?
Right.
Why did manufacturing jobs leave the United States?
Well, from NAFTA.
Why? Why did these companies move? Why did they move those jobs out of our country?
Globalism.
What?
Globalism, NAFTA.
So that's what, when they said, like, we're moving these jobs to, let's say, China or Taiwan. Taiwan's a good example because that's where, like, semiconductors were coming from. You think that the American companies said we're moving to Taiwan because we're globalists?
No, because of cheap labor.
Cheap labor. Okay, there we go. Now we're talking. Okay, so gotcha. So how do we fix cheap labor?
Tariffs.
Tariffs? How does that fix cheap labor?
It forces companies now. If it makes the playing level fairer for us.
How?
So now, because people are going to have to, the people are going to have to pay more money to get their goods imported into America.
No, they don't. No. I don't think tariffs. We pay the tariffs. Companies, foreign companies don't pay tariffs. We do.
Oh, that's not true.
Toots. Have you ever imported anything? I used to import stuff. Here's how a tariff works. Let's say I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy 100 calculators, and I'm going to sell those calculators on Amazon. And I go find a Chinese manufacturer that's making the calculator that I want. I get a bulk price, and they say you're going to charge. It's going to be $15 per calculator. I'm like, great. I pay them the money. I pay them $15 per calculator. Those calculators, let's say Trump has put a tariff on all Chinese goods. It's 25%. Those calculators get shipped. They show up at the port. They show up at the airport. However they get there, I have to go pick them up from customs, right? Mm-hmm. And when I go pick them up from customs, I'm going to pay 25% of the total cost of what it cost me. So let's say it was, what did I say? It was 100 times 15. So $1,500. I'm going to pay 25% of that.
Okay, so how did America survive before 1913?
On tariffs.
Correct. So
and that's why we had the Great Recession. Because this is the Republican point I can't figure the fuck out from you guys. And this is where you're being lied to, Toots. Before 1913, we had an economy that taxes were collected via tariff. Now, two things to remember. Number one, our economy was very different than now. Like, our economy is mostly built on data right now and services. It's not mostly products. We've moved away from products, and it's data and services is mostly what we're doing. But at the time, it was mostly products. And what we found during that time, Toots, is that all the poor and the middle class, they were paying all the tariffs. They were the only ones paying taxes. The people that weren't paying taxes were rich folks. And even if they did pay taxes, it was on their personal consumption. They were not paying high taxes, and we were running out of money. Our country was falling apart. That's why we introduced taxes, because the experiment we ran of running our country on tariffs didn't work. And Republicans are lying to you right now when they say that the reason we had a Great Depression is because we switched from tariffs. No, the reason we had a Great Recession is because it fucked up our economy so bad that we had to change how we did things. But then you've got to remember the next, like, up until 1980, we had very high taxes up until 1980, and that was the best our country ever did. Far better than the late 1800s. Our industrial revolution, our manufacturing boom is what made our country a superpower, and we did that with high taxes.
Right, but the depression you're talking about came, that was in 1929. So the tax code came in what, 1913, and the Great Depression came in after that. So all up until then,
sorry, I have this thing pops up every live that I have to do. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. So anyway, so now what we're seeing is now, obviously, whatever we're doing right now isn't working. Obvious. We saw how Trump was.
What do you mean obvious? What do you mean obvious? It's not working. Under Joe Biden with the CHIPS Act, we've seen manufacturing jobs coming back to America.
I mean, you're living in a different reality.
I know, but do you know how many? But our jobs. But wait, don't tell me I'm living in a different reality. Let's just live in reality. Toots. What is what? No, Toots. Please, excuse me, Toots. Excuse me. With all due respect, are manufacturing jobs coming back to America specifically for microchips?
I mean, not all of them.
No, not all of them. I said our jobs come. First of all, we didn't ever have them, really. We outsourced that to Taiwan decades ago. And you know why we did? Because the very same people, the people like Elon Musk and like Mark Andreessen, these people who are business moguls, who are venture capitalists, they see a cheaper option overseas and they take it. And those same people that moved all this manufacturing and who are just venture capitalists, Trump's putting them in his cabinet now. This is an attempt for them to eliminate the things standing in their way of accumulating more wealth.
Is that really what you think?
Well, I just listened to Mark Andreessen for 3 hours on Joe Rogan lie repeatedly about the CFBP and say that the Consumer Finance or CFPB, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, was there to make it so that companies couldn't innovate, especially in the financial services. What we know is that that organization being involved is why we got money back from the big banks. It's why we've been able to go after banks who scammed people. It has literally brought billions of dollars back to the pockets of scammed Americans. And Mark Andreessen and Elon Musk are in Trump's ear saying, we must eliminate this department. Why? Because that department has regulation. It doesn't let you just run crypto scams. It doesn't let you just run scams. It gives protection to the consumers that we don't have. If the government doesn't exist and stand in the way of us and the billionaire class will bleed us dry. Our only protection against people taking advantage of us is this CFBP or CFPB, and they're saying we got to get rid of that. No more consumer protection. They want to get rid of Toots consumer protection. That's me and that's you. And they don't want to protect us anymore. They want the billionaires to be protected from having to deal with us.
All right. Right now, right now, we're really not protected. And if you want to talk about billionaires, more billionaires, the whole scam that they put out on us, I mean, you see it differently to me. You think that what happened in 2020 was like, oh, it just happened to happen right before the election. I see it completely different.
Well, why didn't it happen in other elections then? Why didn't it happen in 2016? Why didn't it happen in 2024? Why didn't these how come both hold on, excuse me. How come both times Trump won, nothing happened, but the time he lost, suddenly it was a conspiracy? Maybe, Toots.
Oh, I'm going to tell you
maybe,
why.
just maybe, COVID existed and it cost Trump the election and it's real.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you why. You asked me because 2016, they thought that they had their plan in place and Trump actually overwhelmed it. Trump actually got so many votes that he overwhelmed their system.
So why didn't we do it in 2024?
Well, no. So then 2020 came. He got 81 million candy canes. Anybody who believes that is like literally lost in space.
Anybody who believes that, you know where we get that 81 million number. Do you know where that comes from, Toots?
Yeah.
Where?
From mailing ballots.
No, how do we collect that? How do we collect that information?
And the Domino pizza machines.
How do we collect those that information, Toots?
By closing doors and
no. Answer you're just saying whatever the fuck you want. Toots, listen to the question. How do we collect that information?
How do we collect that information?
How do we know there were 81 million votes?
Because they shut down the election.
No, how do we know? How do we know that number?
Because after they counted enough votes to come up with, I don't know where, they just had to keep counting and counting and counting.
No, they just counted the votes, dude. They just counted the votes. That's what happened. No,
they counted the ballots.
Yes, those are the votes. You vote on a ballot.
Ballots aren't votes. They had ballots everywhere.
That's how you vote. You can only vote.
That's not how you vote. No.
How do you vote?
No, I go in person.
And you do what?
And I fill it out.
Fill what out?
I fill out my ballot.
You're what?
Correct.
You're what? No, wait. Say that one more time. What do you fill out?
A ballot.
Okay, so you use a ballot to vote?
Yes, a legal
ballot. Okay, so yeah. And which ballots? Okay, which ballots were illegal that counted in those 81 million?
The ones that they pulled out from underneath the desk drawer. The ones that when
which ones? Which ones? Where do I find the number of illegal ballots?
How come the same 6 states that shut down? I can tell you which ones they are: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so those 6 states. Guess what? In every one of those 6 states, there's a county. Every county, like you got Fulton County in Georgia, you got Pennsylvania County, Philadelphia County in Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin has a county. They all have one county. You got Maricopa County. Each one of these counties, that's where always the problems are.
And when you look at those counties, what do all of those counties have in common?
They're the last ones that always.
What else do they have in common?
They're all Democrats.
What else do they have in common? How about that they're the biggest fucking county in the state? Like Maricopa is more than half of our population. I live in Arizona. I live in Maricopa County. Most of our state is Maricopa County. It's the biggest. It's the biggest county in the country.
We never had any problems.
We've still had no problems. We had three Republican-led audits in my county, in Maricopa County. 2 of them led by Republicans, and 1 led by the cyber ninjas, who are literally just paid to find dirt for Donald Trump. And all 3 of them concluded that there was no fraud. 3. It cost us tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money. We had to replace all of our routers. We had to replace all of our machines. 3 times Republicans audited our election in Maricopa County, and all 3 came back saying the exact same thing. No fraud. And here you are, Toots. You won't even believe your own party. Your own party did these audits. It wasn't my party. It was your party. So why do you disagree with your own party? Because you want to keep believing bullshit. Because you want to keep believing that you're the smartest guy in the room when the facts are right in front of you that none of this happened.
It's all corrupt.
It's not corrupt. Then why did Republicans certify it? Why did they say there was no fraud?
Just because they call themselves Republican doesn't mean that they're Republican. The Democrats infiltrated everything.
Excuse me. These were people that campaigned on their signs said, "We support Donald Trump." These people publicly. Excuse me. Before the audits, these people were all tweeting out the election was stolen. They were all saying it, and then they did the audit, and they're like, "Well, fuck, I guess it wasn't."
Dude, anyone who said that they guess it wasn't is corrupt. Because
you don't. Did you read it? Did you read it? Did you read it?
I've seen it with my own eyes.
No, you didn't. No, wait, Toots. Toots.
You know what I saw?
I have to mute you, bud. Toots. You got to stop talking when I'm talking. I appreciate it. Toots, did you read? And you're muted, so you have to unmute. Did you read any of the audits?
Did I read any of the audits?
Yeah.
I've seen the outcomes.
Did you read any of the audits? I asked. Don't answer a different question.
I didn't read the
Okay, so you haven't seen anything with your own eyes. What you've seen is news reports and Twitter and Facebook posts, and you're claiming that's evidence. And this is the problem we have in this country, is that a lot of people think that the evidence that they've seen is real evidence. It's not. You haven't taken the time, Toots. You're too lazy to go read. You're too lazy to read the audits, Toots. I've been doing this with you for 2 years, and for 2 years I've been telling you, go read something, and you refuse to do it. Why won't you just read the audits, Toots?
I'm going to tell you what I see.
I asked you a question. Don't just ramble on with whatever the fuck you want to say. Why haven't you read the audits? It's been almost 4 years. Why haven't you read the audits?
I understand what the audit said.
Why haven't you read the answer my question, please? Why have you not read the audits?
Why haven't I read the audits? Because I saw the outcome, what they said already.
So why don't you believe it?
Because I don't believe it.
But how would you know if you don't read the audits? How do you even know what they said?
Let me tell you how I know.
No. There's only one way to know. It's by reading the audits.
No. I see my
What
own
would be
eyes.
a better way to find out why the audit said it was a clean election? How could there possibly be a better way to understand what the audit said than reading the audit?
I'm going to tell you what the audit said. The audits did not let them
answer the question, please. Thank you. What is a better way? What is a better way to find out what the audit said than reading the audits?
I know what the audit said. Okay.
What did it say then? What did the audit say?
I'm going to tell you. They said that they were not allowed to check signatures.
Wrong. Wrong.
Yes.
Try again. No, that's not what it said. There was signature verification on every. There was signature verification on every ballot in Arizona. Every single ballot in Arizona, there was signature verification. You're lying now. Now you're lying because you didn't read it. The audit doesn't say that, Toots.
This is what it said.
No, it didn't.
Find it.
Toots, I'm muting you until you find a source. Pull up a source. You don't get to lie on my program anymore, Toots. No more of this. You're either going to grow up or you're not here anymore. You got to do one or the other. I need a source, Toots. Give me a source that says that they weren't allowed to do signature verification.
We get to the source. Hold on.
Thank you.
And
I'm gonna need the webpage. And before you find it, I'm not gonna allow you to monologue. You've got to find the source before you're allowed to talk anymore. I'm serious, dude. I'm so sick of arguing with you guys when you don't bring sources. This is the problem with our country. The reason we can't get to answers is because nobody wants to. Everybody's too fucking lazy to read something. And when you read something that you don't like, you just throw it away.
I read the bullet points of what.
There were no bullet points.
Of course there were.
No, there weren't. Somebody wrote bullet points probably. Tell me, cite your source that in Arizona, in Maricopa County, there was no signature verification.
I'm gonna get it right now for you. Hold on. Just give me one.
By the way, when I look at my vote as a person in Maricopa County and I search my vote, it tells me that it passed signature verification. So how'd that happen?
Because you're a legal vote.
How do you know if a vote's legal or illegal, Toots?
Dude, do you know that?
How do you know? Excuse me. Don't ask a different question. How do you know, Toots? How do they determine what vote is legal and illegal? Signature verification. The only reason you know how many people tried to illegally vote is because we caught those people and their votes didn't count. That's how we have the number.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I want to go to the 2020 election.
Does it concern you that it's hard to find this information?
No, it's showing me 2024. Okay, let's see what we got here. It does concern me when nothing comes up because that's how they silence it.
No, it's because nobody's reporting the shit you're seeing on Facebook because it's fucking fake and they don't want to do it. Now let me give you the real information. This is from Vote. This is from Arizona's Stephen Richer, where they did training. Nate Kennedy was in a hurry when he arrived at the MVD to get his driver's license. He just moved back from out of state and marked the box to register to vote, quickly scribbling his signature on the electronic pad. He was all set to become one of of thousands of voters not affiliated with a political party who would play a key role in determining the state's leaders in the next midterm election. When he submitted his ballot, however, the messy signature would cost him his vote. Election officials who compared the signature on his mail ballot envelope to the electronic scribble on file weren't convinced they came from the same person. So, as the law requires, they rejected his ballot. He didn't find out until weeks later. How'd that happen?
No, but
how did his ballot get rejected?
But I'm not talking.
How did it? No, I'm not asking you to answer any question other than what's coming out of my mouth. How did that happen, Toots? How did his ballot get rejected? I just read it to you. What happened?
Because he probably was a Trump voter.
No, what happened? No, it said specifically he was not affiliated with any party. He registered as not affiliated. So what happened? Why did his vote not count?
I don't know.
Because his signature didn't match. So he put his signature on the envelope and it didn't match the signature on file.
Okay, but
so doesn't that tell you that we have a process in place for signature verification?
But in the order,
doesn't that tell you that we have a process in place for signature verification? The very thing you said they weren't allowed to do?
Right, because
it's in place. So they were allowed to do it.
I'm talking about in the
this is in 2020 elections, so they were allowed to do it.
But when they did the
they were allowed to do it, right?
I don't think they were, bro.
Excuse me?
When they did
why did this guy? Well, then how did this guy lose his vote?
That was on the day of the election.
No, it wasn't. It was a mail-in ballot. Brother, you're so desperate for this stuff to be right that you're unwilling to just address the reality right in front of you. You made a claim that in Arizona we don't do signature verification. Every state does signature verification. That's how we know when votes are illegal. That's how we know when somebody like this man's vote didn't count, because we catch it and then we don't count it.
Right. Okay. So according to you, the whole election system and process is perfect. There's no problem.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, but
let me ask you this question: in 2016, during the primaries, Trump lost the very first. He lost the Iowa caucus. How did he? What was his excuse for losing the Iowa caucus?
I don't remember.
It was rigged.
It was rigged.
He said it was rigged. Now, when he was campaigning for Mitt Romney, and Mitt Romney lost the election to Obama in 2012, what was Donald Trump's excuse for that?
I have no idea.
He said it was rigged. He said that there were fake votes. He blamed mail-in ballots.
Well, here in New York
City, he
has
has a pattern of blaming others and lying about things that didn't happen every time he loses. When he lost a court case for Trump University, what did he blame for his what was his reason for losing that case, Toots? Please answer that question. When he lost his court case for Trump University, what did he blame the outcome on?
It was rigged.
He said the judge was Mexican. So it was rigged because the judge was Mexican.
Do you know that in 2016?
Did you know that? Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
So when he had to get rid of, he lost his casinos. Who did he blame? When he bankrupted 3 casinos and lost them, who did he blame?
I don't know.
He blamed the media for reporting on his debt.
Okay.
So it was the media's fault that he overinvested and lost his casinos. It was somebody else's fault that Romney lost. It was somebody else's fault that Trump lost in Iowa. It was somebody else's fault that Trump lost in 2020. By the way, in 2016 and 2024, he prefaced both elections by saying, "If I lose, it's because they cheated," and then he won and didn't say a word about it. The only time he ever talks about things being unfair, Toots, is when he loses. Why is he not discussing the gerrymandering that took place in North Carolina? Why is he not talking about the voter suppression that Republicans did all across this country? With weeks left to go in the election, they disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of voters. How come he doesn't talk about that? Because he fucking won.
Right,
he only complains when he loses, bud.
They did cheat in the 2016 election.
Who did? Who did?
Democrats.
How?
The same system that they use in 2020.
What system?
The Domino pizza machine.
Dominion?
Domino's, yeah. the dominoes.
But there's never been any evidence that says that Dominion is able to change. There's no evidence that's ever tied them to a crime. In fact, there's so little evidence. Toots, do you know how hard it is to sue somebody for defamation and win? Do you know how hard that is?
You do that when.
Let me ask you. I asked you a question. Do you know how hard it is? Do you know the standard?
No, very simple.
Do you know the standard? Stop answering questions I'm not asking. Do you know the standard, Toots? What's the standard?
You have to have an overwhelming evidence.
You have to prove that not only did the person defaming you lie about you, but they also knew that they were lying about you, which is why Fox lost almost $1 billion saying that Dominion tried to overthrow or undo the election. That's why Fox didn't even go to court. Fox was so bent over a barrel. Fox is like, fuck it, we're just paying. That's why Rudy Giuliani is broke. That's why Newsmax and OAN settled, because all of these conspiracy, like, it's crazy. Everybody who believes what you believe, when it went to court, they lost every single time. You have 0 court victories, Toots. Why do you still believe this?
All right, but you don't see how this works. You don't see that now. That will silence anybody else from talking about that.
You won't shut the fuck up about it. Your people are still saying it. Nobody's been silenced. You guys have been saying the same dumb shit for 9 years. You won't stop talking about it. Nobody is silenced. I can go on Twitter right now and I can see 50 losers talking about the election being stolen. You're not silenced, Toots. Nobody silenced you. You're just saying dumb shit. You're not being silenced. You're on my platform right now saying whatever the fuck you want. Stop being a perpetual victim. Nobody's coming after you. You just don't have any evidence to back up your claims, and that's what you're being upset about. So now that you can't, now that I've asked you for evidence and you don't have any, now you're back to, oh, we're being silenced.
No.
You're like my 4-year-old. Nothing's your fault.
No. I'm not being silenced.
Well, now you are. TikTok just made me remove you. I'm sorry, that's bad timing. That's not on me, Toots. But TikTok said you gotta go. Christopher says, "Where's Bree? Someone needs to turn your cheeks red." Bree's not here today. She had said earlier she had some family stuff going on, so she's not here. Play Portnoy's reaction to Hunter's pardon. All right. Let me get that in a second. Let me read these. I mean, I don't have a great deal of respect for Dave Portnoy's political opinions, but I know that you do, because anybody who says what you like, you love. Brittany says, this one's for my girl Bree. Will you double stuff our chocolate vanilla Oreo? How do I double stuff? I don't think I could double stuff. I only got one. I don't think that's possible. I don't even know what that meant. I'm so confused by that. It didn't even make my face red. That's how confusing that was for me. All right, what did Portnoy say? Sorry, Toots, it was good talking to you, but be better, bud. Next time you come, just bring like some sources, and maybe we don't say that Domino's company anymore. All right, well, maybe I'll get to torch this one too. I already torched Dave one time.
In the news, everyone's talking about it. Joe Biden and the Democrats, after probably saying no less than 9,482 times unequivocally that Joe Biden would not pardon Hunter Biden if Trump was elected.
The president would not pardon or commute the sentence for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
Yeah, I don't care. I already covered this. I don't care what Dave Portnoy has to say about that. Like, it would be one thing if Dave Portnoy was the kind of person who addressed other people's lies. Dave Portnoy hasn't been involved in politics hardly at all until recently. And the only time he opens his fucking mouth is to go after Joe Biden or to like pump Donald Trump's asshole. I don't care. He's not a person that we should take seriously when it comes to political thought. He's just not. He's another out-of-touch billionaire. And it's interesting to the Republicans who sent this to me. Why is it that all these rich guys, how come it's all the billionaire class now that you guys are listening to? Nobody sold out more than Republicans to the billionaires. They're just like, we want to win so bad that we don't give a fuck. We're just going to sell out to the billionaires. Whatever they say goes now. That's the new. I mean, this is the swampiest cabinet ever. Let's look at this cabinet. This Trump cabinet is wild. Pull it up. And then I think there was a couple more messages. Is this the one? Here's the list of the Trump. All right. CBS, I think, is the one that had the updated list. I mean, if we just go through, I don't know if you guys can see this. Pam Bondi, not the worst. RFK, literally, like, he's like, I got through school by doing heroin. I have a brain worm. I have a whole country suing me for dead children. I abuse women. No problem there. You guys, we don't care about that. Russ Vought, literally Office of Management and Budget Director. Russ Vought, this is the person who wrote Project 2025. Just so we're clear on that. Wrote Project 2025. On tape saying Trump is going to publicly say that he's not going to do Project 2025, but then he's going to fill his cabinet with us, and we're going to do it anyways. It's in that Tom Homan, he's just talking about deporting people who aren't even like here illegally. Pete Hegseth, let's talk about Pete Hegseth, labeled an abuser of women by his own mother and a bunch of other women. And I've got some Pete Hegseth stuff there. Doug Burgum, billionaire oil guy for Interior Secretary. Chris Wright, Secretary of Energy. Oh, owned by the gas companies. Howard Lutnick, billionaire. Linda McMahon, billionaire, currently being a company being investigated for trafficking children. No problem there. Scott Bessent, billionaire. I don't know what Whitaker's name is. Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Hope you're not worried about your dogs. I'm just trying to find more. Lee Zeldin. Like, this is Vivek, Elon. This is just like the who's who of billionaires and white nationalists. And they've all come together to trick all of you guys into thinking that they're just like regular, everyday conservatives. Chunk drawer, not a cabinet. Look, I don't care. I'm not going to defend Joe Biden pardoning Hunter just because he did say he wasn't. He went back on that promise. I think it's a 100% fair criticism to say that Joe Biden went back on his promise on pardoning Hunter. I'm 100% okay with that, but I just don't actually really care that much. I wish pardons would go away, but I'm not going to spend all my time talking about pardons. We'd run out of time. We wouldn't have anything to talk about if all we did is go through, like, because if I start bringing up the list of Biden pardons, and then we bring up the list of Trump pardons, then we bring up the list of Obama pardons. Like, there's some shitty pardons out there. That's how it goes. By the way, what did Hunter do? Sorry, he didn't do shit. He didn't pay his taxes. He lied on a form to get a weapon, which millions of Americans have done in this country when they on the form say that they don't use medical MMJ or MMJ at all, or that they don't drink, or that they don't overconsume alcohol. Literally almost every American who has a weapon is lying on those forms. So I don't think that Hunter needs to go to jail for that. Being late on your taxes, I was late on my taxes one year. I got a letter one year and I had just forgot to pay taxes, and it had been like 8 years. I didn't know. I'd paid every other year. I just for some reason didn't do taxes one year, and I just paid a fine. Like, I paid back taxes and a fine. That was it. I didn't go to jail. Nobody threatened me to go to jail. Nobody looked in at the time. Probably, if you would have looked at my applications for a weapon and dug enough into my life, you would have found out that, I don't know. Maybe I lied on that too. Maybe, I don't know. Cannot confirm or deny whether or not I lied. It's something everybody does, and I don't care that he's being pardoned. I do think it's embarrassing that you guys spent 4 years on this, though, and this is what you're celebrating. You had 4 years. You did multiple investigations by the FBI director who Trump put in place. Congress investigated it. They had the full power of Congress to investigate it, or from the House to investigate it. They found absolutely nothing. They could not tie a single dollar to a crime that either Joe Biden or Hunter Biden committed. Not one. You guys had so much time to do this. And the main reason I hate that Joe Biden pardoned Hunter Biden is because I have to hear from you guys. Like, this means something. Right? This is just team sport for you. You're all saying, oh, see, it proves it. Well, maybe. But what else could it prove? So maybe if I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Republicans, maybe he's guilty. Are you going to give the benefit of the doubt that maybe he's not? And maybe he was targeted? Got to do both. I see I see a bunch of people in the box. If you're not opposition, go ahead and hop out, but I'll try and get through individually. I know some people click accidentally. That was Someone that's not here anymore. Manny. No go on Manny. El Despinato. Say that right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I clicked by accident. I called you.
You're good. I got you. NC Fireman. I don't know why it goes to just a random box. It's such a weird way for this to operate. NC Fireman, welcome. Accidental. I'm gonna go accidental. All right. Perfect. What time is it? 11:30. Oh shit, we're cruising. Talk to Res Velvet. Who's Res Velvet? I don't know who that is. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, and look, and they're going to use this. I would like. I do want to at some point talk to a Republican. One of the things I thought that. Red Velvet's here. Oh, Red Velvet, come on up. Yeah, they are, Admir. That's kind of the story here. People don't want to debate up here, mostly because we asked for sources. But what were we talking about? Oh, the Jan Sixers. Yeah, I just want to know what Republican wants the Jan Sixers pardoned. The ones I've talked to don't want him. Admir doesn't want him pardoned. I actually haven't talked to any Republicans that want the Jan Sixers pardoned, and I don't know why you would want to, because we get to hold that over your head forever. Selfishly, this thing with Hunter Biden that I don't like is that you guys get to hold it over my head and distract from real conversations to talk about Hunter Biden. I don't want to do that. And by the way, if you guys pardon a bunch of Jan Sixers, we're going to be forever. We get to say you don't care about the police forever. You can't undo that. You guys attacked the police. And if you pardon them, we get to use that against you forever and ever and ever. Why would you want that? If I was a Republican, I'd be like, I would be vocally be like, don't fucking pardon the Jan Sixers. Especially if you're the Republican that the ones that are I don't really like Trump, but I do want, I just want the economy to be better. I want prices to go down. If I were you, if I were that person, I would say, can we not do this? Can we just do the stuff we wanted? Buenos nachos. Welcome. Good nachos.
Good morning from Buffalo, New York.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You piece of shit. I hope I hope your car got snowed in. And I hope all the Tim Hortons are closed.
Sir, there is no snow out here.
There's no snow. It was just on the field.
No, it's way over in Buffalo.
Where are you? You said greetings from Buffalo. Well, you said greetings from Buffalo.
Yeah, but you know how it goes. I got to rub in against the Niners.
Great. Let it all out. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even watch the game. I turned it on and I fell asleep. I missed our one. I think we had one touchdown.
I think your defense also did that.
Our defense gave up a touchdown, or we scored a touchdown.
No, it gave up a touchdown. They fell asleep too.
Yeah. I woke up at one point and Fred Warner wasn't playing. I'm like, that's not good.
And CMC is done for the year.
Good, terrific. At least he's super cheap. Now I'm gonna have Barron yelling at me about fantasy football.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's I would almost feel bad for you if you guys weren't in my division right now, but
well, tell me, you feeling pretty good about the Rams? What do you think their chances are to make the playoffs?
Well, right now we're only a game.
Nobody gives a fuck. Take that. Innocent bystander. I see. There's probably an accident. Listen, that's all I got. That's all I have now. I have no ability to talk shit. My team is so bad, I can't talk shit. So all I have is petty hanging up on people. Zachary says, in Bree's honor, what did Cinderella say to Prince Charming? Won't want to see if it fits. Oh, that's adorable. That wasn't even bad. No, you got Bree's a 1 of 1. I don't know if you guys have that. John says another one for Jen's doggy. Pets are expensive. Yeah, I haven't checked on Jen's dog for a while. I was a little selfish on my focusing on me. I need to check on Jen's dog. Jen, if you're here, how's the dog doing? Do we still have an ear infection? Sal says, if you dig deep into me, you'd also find nothing. Want to find out? I think there's got to be something in there, Sal. I bet it'll be a Werther's. What did I do? Why am I getting G's, Jay? Did I do something wrong? Sal said, wish you'd pardon both my cheeks. I don't think you want your cheeks pardoned. I think that means there will be no attention given to your cheeks. I don't know if you want that. Come to this. Ashley said, what did the comforter say after falling off the bed? Oh, sheet. I like that one. Ashley's are like always on the verge. Like they're like a joke that if you can't tell to like a 6-year-old kid, but after that, you're good. Sal says, I've got a cabinet you could open up. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. That's terrifying. And also says, I know of a way for you to silence me, and it involves your rocket ship. All right. Cameron says, how come you never spank me like you just spanked Toots? I'll even stay silent. You gotta pay extra for that. Thank you. I think I got them all. All right, I think that's it. Add. Now I got to do math. 40. Okay. Did I do the math wrong earlier? I might have done the math wrong earlier. Let me look. Actually, it's the same. I did the math wrong earlier. There we go. You can pay. Yeah, you can pay. Listen, at this point, to get Jen off my back, we can probably pay for just about anything. Jen says he's still got the ear infection, ordered compounded meds for him. He's a pit, so his farts are still nasty. That's the update on Jen's dog. Asshole stinks and still has an ear infection. Admir, what's up?
Good morning, Double Daddy.
Thank you. Jesus, not you. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, listen, bro. Listen, ever since I heard that, man, I've been trying to get my wife. I'm like, just call me Double Daddy. Nope. She's all, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah. So what's up, man?
So I've been hearing, and so I kind of got to push a little bit back on this whole Hunter being pardoned.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has a problem with him being pardoned. I think what personally I have an issue is the 10-year blanket pardon. That's the only thing that kind of bothers me is why would you put a 10-year blanket immunity going back all the way to 2014? That's the only thing that kind of gives me like that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, those are the years that he was investigated. Look, I think there's like two options here, and I don't think either one of us is going to figure out. Either one, Joe Biden is trying to hide a crime that Hunter Biden committed, or two, he knows that those are the years that Republicans are going to go after, and his son's been harassed for 4 years now. Now, I tend, no matter what I believe, I say the evidence says that he didn't do anything. I've seen no evidence that he committed a crime whatsoever. So if that's true, then I don't mind it. But yeah, I could see that's the problem I have with the pardon too, is that it leaves so much open that now we're going to be hit with it all. We're going to have to be forced to try and defend this pardon.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, I mean, we know for a fact that DOJ and FBI lied about the whole laptop thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if there is no such thing as laptop, if there is no crime, why would you lie about it? You know what I mean? And so now, like you said, he leaves.
Well, doesn't it make sense that he would have pardoned him before the investigation, though? Like, if he was really worried about stuff coming out, why wouldn't he have pardoned him earlier? Why would he wait? Like, the investigation's done now. He's gone to court multiple times. The Republicans have basically dropped it in the House. Like, wouldn't he have pardoned him before?
Well, no, because he wasn't convicted yet. He didn't plead guilty. So what is there to pardon?
You can give preemptive pardons. And he pled guilty. He pled guilty forever ago for the tax stuff. He did that like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, and was supposed to get sentenced. Then he got hit with another charge of the whole pew thing, which I found that it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, let's say you were Joe Biden. Let's just pretend for a second that Hunter, that these are the only crimes he committed. If you were his dad and you knew that he was going to be targeted, would you have pardoned him?
As a father, hell yeah. I don't think there's a father on this planet that wouldn't.
That's the hard part, man. Like, this is all kind of boils down to like what people think about Joe Biden. If you think Joe Biden's doing the honorable thing, you don't mind it. If you think he's, this whatever people on the right think of Joe Biden, that he's nefarious, that he's a criminal, then you're not going to like it. But this is one of those ones that we'll never have an answer to.
I mean, like I said, as a father, I respect what he did for his son. There's no denying it. Now, as looking at it outside, it's like, okay, well, that your son has this issue. He's having to deal with it for years. It's one of those things, okay, as a father, I'm going to do everything I can. But at what point do you say, okay, I've helped you so much, I've done everything that I can. When is that line drawn for you to say, okay, as a father, you need to go do your own thing, don't bother me?
Well, I mean, I think he let him. He didn't interfere with those investigations while he was president. He largely stayed out of it.
Well, sure. But I mean, but that goes to get question again. If he truly led the investigation, then why would the DOJ lie about everything? I mean, they've admitted that they've lied.
About what? I'm not sure what you're referencing.
About the laptop.
What do you mean?
They've from the get-go, they said, nope, that's a hoax. That's a made-up story. The DOJ and the FBI. They said there's no such thing as a laptop.
Who said
there's
that?
None of this. And you have the cyber counterterrorism at the hearing when Howley pressed him, and what's the other Democrat that pressed him on it, and then finally said, yes, it does exist.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that they were. I don't think they were lying about it. Right,
No,
the
if
FBI
we
doesn't.
ask you-
When the FBI gets not even then. Like if the FBI has evidence in their hands, they're not obligated to tell the American people the evidence that they have, especially for an ongoing investigation, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. So if there isn't, okay, well, you can't talk about it because it's a current investigation.
That's what
I
they
get
said.
that. But once, the investigation was done, why would you still lie about it?
I don't think. Well, the investigation was still going on because the stuff from the laptop. There were other accusations outside of the taxes and the weaponry. Like there were accusations of money laundering, of influence peddling. They wanted to look into like, did Joe Biden have anything to do with this? I mean, it was a comprehensive investigation. But I actually think the laptop thing has been weirdly overblown. Like as long as I've covered this, and I covered it from the day that we found out about the laptop. Nobody that I know of that I watch has ever said the laptop doesn't exist. Ever. We've all said the same. We've all said the same thing. Like the problem with the laptop is when evidence comes, when pictures would come out from the laptop or like emails, there was only one source on that, and it was Rudy Giuliani. And we also know that some of that stuff had been edited and had been edited post the time the FBI had the laptop. So the problem was as stuff came out, we didn't know what to believe because we know some stuff had been edited and the only source was Rudy Giuliani, who was Trump's attorney. In what scenario would you trust just like somebody's attorney to get all the information right? Of course, he's going to put out only the information that works for him.
Well, I mean, I see your point, and I'm not going to argue as far as that goes. I mean, there was just something weird about this whole thing. And once the investigation was done, once actually Hunter pleaded guilty to, with the tax and all of that, what is there to hide? I mean, literally took the cyber counterterrorism assistant FBI director to come out and say, yes, okay, it exists. And all of that. So it's just, it did not make sense.
I guess I don't share that. I guess I don't share that view. Like, I think if you took this, if you and I were to go to another planet, right, and we don't know who's in charge, like we don't know anything about political parties, but we find out, we just tell this story exactly as we know it, right? And we hear that there's a laptop that exists, and the person who told us that exists is this political person's lawyer, and he's a rival for this political person over here, and it's the son of this political person. And then every leak that came out came from this person's lawyer, right? And none of those leaks proved a crime. Some of them alluded to some things, like 10% for the big guy. There was some alluding, but we investigated all those things and we found no connection. Like the Republicans found literally no connection. If you and I were just judging this and we didn't know about politics at all in that country, we would both say probably the same thing. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like anybody can prove a crime here. Just seems like that guy had a laptop. He used his dad for influence. There's no money connected to his dad. There's no money that he appears to even have gotten illegally. Remember, nobody even accused him of, there's not even an accusation that that money coming to him was illegal. We have literally no evidence of a crime, and they can't even tell us what the crime was. If you and I were watching that from an outsider's perspective, I think we would both agree this is kind of a nothing burger.
From an outside perspective, sure.
Right, but it only, and that's the thing, like only from an inside perspective, when you start putting in like your own thoughts of who you think Joe Biden is, who you think Hunter Biden is, who you think are the good guys, who you think are the bad guys, only when you interject like your own feelings does this story make sense. And that's why I just don't think it didn't matter, because when you take feelings out of it, there was no evidence here. And either they're great at covering up evidence or they didn't do it. But either way, I don't feel like I can make a solid conclusion there, because there's just literally no evidence of it. I don't even know the crime that he supposedly did. Do you?
Well, supposedly, allegedly, the story came out and said that that laptop held evidence and emails and all this stuff that would, it originally started with Burisma and his connection with the China and all of that.
But if Giuliani had all that information, why did Giuliani not release it? They showed us his dick. They can show us his dick, but not the evidence that he committed a crime.
But
it's nice dick, by the way.
Say what?
It was a pretty nice dick, by the way. I think a lot of people were like, "Good for you, Hunter."
Hold on, what?
He had a good dick. Hunter Biden has a good dick. That's what I'm saying.
Hunter. Listen, bro.
Have you not seen the pictures? Listen.
I'm just no, and I don't want to see it, bro.
The Biden genes aren't bad. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to see it. Just take my word on it. The Biden genes aren't bad.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, man. Let's move on. No, but I'm saying is you asked the question, why wouldn't Rudy Giuliani? Because if he did that, it would be all over. I mean, you can't just take somebody's information.
What would be all over?
For Giuliani.
What do you mean?
Why wouldn't he just release it? Because if he would have released any information, supposedly that he only released the dick pic. He didn't release nothing.
No. You also had the email that was like 10% for the big guy. He released emails. He released all sorts of stuff, and there were no repercussions. There were no repercussions.
Yeah, but those were already released prior.
No, he released
for Rudy Giuliani.
No, he released
No?
those. Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, he got a copy of the hard drive and started releasing stuff that was on the copy of the hard drive.
My understanding is that percent of phone call, 10% with the big guy, before Rudy Giuliani actually released it.
Maybe, but it would have been from the same source.
That was my understanding.
Maybe, but it's from the same source.
Yes.
It's a copy of a hard drive. Yeah, but nobody got in trouble for that, so why would they have gotten in trouble for releasing the other emails?
Well, the primary source was never identified of the original.
Yeah, it was the laptop.
So, yeah, but who released it though? That's what I'm saying. Who's the source?
Giuliani.
Rudy. I'll have to do a little bit of research.
If you remember that
it was.
Remember that the 51 intelligence agents, they put out that letter?
Yes.
That was in response to a story where the primary source was Rudy Giuliani. He was the only source.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
I'll look into that.
So I just think like if the evidence was there, why would they not have released? If there was stuff on that laptop, and I do think this is a weird thing. Like, I wouldn't say this is conservative. I think this is a thing that like has been perpetuated across the political spectrum in this country. But we all think that there's stuff that we don't know that we actually do know. And there's just nothing there. I think some of those examples would be like this laptop. I think the Epstein list is the greatest example. And interestingly enough, the people who talk the most about the Epstein list are like these billionaires who are just like, don't look at us, pay attention to the Epstein list. I don't think Epstein kept a list. I doubt that exists. Maybe like, why would it not be out at this point? We've had two administrations. We've had the Trump administration and we've had the Biden administration. And I'm going to make a prediction that during the Trump administration, he never releases any of that, because it either implicates implicates everybody, which I don't think it does, or it doesn't exist. And I think it doesn't exist. But we get distracted by all these little things. Like there's Republicans everywhere. They're like, we got to see the laptop. You're never going to see it. And the reason you're never going to see it is because on one side, it's hunters and you guys don't deserve to see it. And on the other side, they've seen it and they know it doesn't back up what they say. So there's no incentive for them to show it either.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when it comes to this whole thing, as a father, I do not blame Joe Biden.
Sure.
I do not blame him. I would do the same thing. I mean,
But he did go back on his word. That's fair. He said he wouldn't and he did. So he lied. I think it's fair.
But did he really?
No, he did say that. He definitely said, I'm not going to pardon him. And then he did. So he definitely went back on his promise. But the other part about this that I don't like, Trump pardoned multiple people who did crimes with Trump. Like he pardoned Paul Manafort. He pardoned Roger Stone. He pardoned Steve Bannon. These are people who did crimes with Trump and for Trump, and he pardoned them. And we know that they did crimes. They pled guilty to those crimes. So it's ironic for me to hear from Republicans that are like, this alleged crime from Hunter Biden. Joe Biden's such a bad guy for pardoning him for alleged crimes. But Trump pardoned people who actually committed crimes for him. And not a peep.
And that's the whole thing that I have issue, and I've said it all along with my party, and that's why I get so much hate, because I'm willing to call Trump out. I'm willing to call people on the right, and the hypocrisy is always there on both sides. So when people sit here and say, well, look what Joe did, but then you're not going to call out Trump, to me, that's hypocrisy.
So what do you think about J6? Like, what would you think if Trump pardoned the J6 people?
That would be so bad for him.
What would you think of it, though? Would it be bad? Would it change your view of him?
Yes, okay. And here's why. Is because we know that people, when they're committed crimes, hold them fully responsible. Accountability is a key thing. Let them serve their time. However, there's always a but. If you look at the cases like Matthew Martin out of Albuquerque, whose case went on for 3 years. I mean, the guy lost a house, he lost a wife, lost his kids, just at the end for the jury to find him not guilty because the judge forced the government to release a videotape where it shows clearly the police officer said, hey, come on in.
I don't think I've read that. This is, he's a defense contractor? Is that who this is?
I believe so, yeah, I believe so. So yeah, his name is Matthew Martin out of Albuquerque. So you got people like that. So now people have been fighting, this thing for years. So what do you do with them? Do you compensate them? I mean,
well, I don't know. I mean, he's got a countersue. He can certainly sue for damages. But I mean, this has been the case. Think of the amount of people who have gone down and who have lost their businesses being lied to about like the election stuff. I mean, look what Dominion basically had to sue just to stay in existence. There were people that were being smeared and getting death threats for saying that they had pulled fake ballots out. I'm trying to remember their names. The two women in Georgia. Yeah. Like I don't know the details of this case. I'll take you at your word that that's what happened with this case. Yeah, and yeah, he should countersue. I've no problem.
But the government is going to take it for years, and only a millionaire can fight something like this.
Well, this is a place where I think Trump can do some good for those January 6 people who might have just got caught up and maybe didn't deserve this. Trump now leading the country can do something about that. He can put pressure. He can issue a pardon. Like if Trump was pardoning people who it was clear, like what I'm reading here with Matthew Martin is he went there. And he went into the building because agents were opening up doors, which I know happened. They were trying to divert people from where they didn't want them to go, so they'd open up doors. They're like, "Hey, come over here." So I can if Trump's pardoning those people, fine. I could give a shit about that. Ruby Freeman, thank you guys. But if you're talking about the people who were there, who were breaking in, who were punching police officers, who were screaming, "Hang Mike Pence," and storming, like those people, I don't think deserve pardons.
At all. And if Trump does that, he's going to have a huge problem because you can't sit here and say you're all for the police, you're all for the law.
Do you think it'll be a problem? Like
people who
I could. Well, it's hard for me. Like
I'm. Who will give them hell.
Yeah, I think you're a small minority. What do you think about that? Like your position, I think is a small minority.
There's actually a lot of us who now we got what we wanted. We got his presidency, we got the Senate, we got the House. There is nothing to stop him from doing what he promised. Okay, now we can debate and all that, but I'm just simply on this notion. It's like, okay, well, if you're not going to do as you say, then I'll be the first one to hold them accountable.
Okay.
And there's a lot of us that will. Because,
You think there's a lot?
In my mind, yes.
Okay.
At least the people that I associate with, we're all willing to hold them responsible.
What about, do you think there's people in power? I mean, obviously you and I hold no real power, but do you think there's people in power that will do that? Because I actually One of the things I've thought about is I think that we may see a clash between the Senate and the presidency. I think the Senate already is basically stood. They didn't take his nominee for Senate Majority Leader. In fact, his nominee was dead last. They quickly shut down the Gates thing. I think that RFK is going to have a hard time being confirmed. I think Tulsi's going to have a hard time being confirmed. I think Pete Hegseth likely isn't going to be confirmed. I do think that there's Republicans in power. I just wonder, I wonder what the pushback will be here. I don't know, because if Trump,
let's go.
Like if Trump is successful in doing what he said he was going to do, in lowering prices, lowering inflation, making housing more affordable, like I'll eat my hat. That's fine. But that's what I want, because that's what I think everybody said they were voting for, is lower prices, lower inflation, a better economic future. And I'm very worried that like 3 years into it, we're going to see nothing but vindictive moves by Trump, and people will just ignore it.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to argue that, but let's, you made a list about these people. I mean, let's go down the list.
Sure.
Pete Hegseth. What kind of is giving you a bad vibe about him that you don't think he'll get?
So he's been fired from multiple jobs for drinking on the job and misusing funds of like charities. He's been accused by multiple women of being abusive, including his own mother. He seemed to use, I mean, he's been married 3 times, and he seemed to use like all these veteran nonprofits. He seemed to use them as a way for him to just go out and get laid. Multiple times he's had to been pulled from rooms. Multiple times he's been kicked out of places while he was acting in a position of power, advocating for veterans. I just don't think this is a very good person. I think he's shown that his advocacy takes a back seat to drinking and getting laid. I think he's a terrible candidate that way. And I've read the police report. It's not good. The police report of that woman in California is not good.
Yeah, but if you read that police report, there's some discrepancies, with the whole hallway, with the cameras, with being at the same place, so.
No, they definitely went to his room. Everybody agrees with that. They went to his room.
Not according to the police.
Or was it her
What
room?
police have you read?
Whose room was it? Was it her room? Am I mixing that up?
Because the police report that I read doesn't mention anywhere about them going to her room.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, there's video of it. The hospital or hotel staff has confirmed all of that.
Police report didn't.
The police report, I don't know. Maybe the initial one. I've read that. I read this. It explains exactly where they were before, and that he was so drunk that he was basically being kicked out. And she, who was there, assuming that he was there for the Republicans, what she says is basically like, I was taking him back to the room to get him out of there. Like, and he viewed that as differently. They said like she was like the 10th person that he had locked onto. He was just trying with every woman at the bar. And finally, and she had text people like this, who the fuck is this guy? Like, he's supposed to represent Republicans. All he wants to do is like get with women. You can see her text messages. But either way, like, I feel like Republicans, whether you want to believe that or not, like, how many more times do you guys have to put up somebody who has this type of history? There's people you could put up with no history. I think that the reason Pete Hegseth is being put there is because Pete Hegseth has spent the last 4 years parroting everything Donald Trump says, from election conspiracies to FBI conspiracies. I believe he's been on Fox News. He was a good foot soldier for Trump, but he's not a good guy.
I mean, I'll take your word for it, and that's what happened. I didn't read none of that. All I read was the police report.
I think I had it on.
But, with the mother and all that, if that happened, you get him out. I think, in my opinion, Trump is getting in and picking these, there's selected people that he's picking in to say, okay, here, I'm bringing him in. You don't approve, I'm kicking him out.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is he's got that ace where Pete Hegseth and RFK are not going to make it.
I don't think maybe not Tulsi either. By the way, there's an article in the New Yorker that I have. I don't know if I'll get to it today, but it talks about even Republicans cited in this New Yorker article. Pete Hegseth has been not respected even by Republicans for a long time. This is not a well-respected person.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, hey, kick him out.
Yeah, it says so in the whistleblower report. It says several top managers being involved in drunken episodes, including an altercation at a casino, a hotel Christmas party where food was thrown from the balcony. Hegseth was seen drunk at multiple CVA events. That's the Veterans Affairs. I don't know what the C is for there. Between 2013 and 15, a time when the organization was engaged in an ambitious nationwide effort to mobilize veterans. Basically, he was run out. He basically came to the donors and said, hey, I've mismanaged like $400,000 and we have like $1,000 left and we're going to fold if you don't give it to me. And he was just throwing parties all over the country. He was just going around trying to get laid while using. And this is a person that's like he's supposed to be for the veterans. He stole from veterans. Forget all the other stuff. He stole from veterans. It's not good.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing better than fuck him, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
My question is, what Tulsi Gabbard? I mean, I don't understand what's there not to like about her.
She has question. Look, long before she was even considered a cabinet, she was put on not a terror watch list, like a watch list, because she has very, very confusing connections to Russia. And my problem with Tulsi, maybe she'll get confirmed. I don't know. My problem with Tulsi is that I was around, Tulsi was the first Democrat I liked once I left being a conservative. So when I first came and was watching like that election when Joe Biden got elected, my pick was Tulsi. And my pick was Tulsi because of the things that she advocated for. And she literally has changed her positions on everything. And all of a sudden got rich. Like, she used to be a regime change war person. Like, we don't do regime change wars. And she's not that person anymore. She used to be very.
She's been advocating against the war. I mean,
which one? No, which one? Not Israel. She's for funding Israel, but not funding Ukraine. Explain that to me.
That one I can. And I knew you were going to bring that up. I was just.
What's a pretty easy explanation? Let's do a conspiratorial one.
mean,
she gets money from Israel and she gets money from Russia, which is the accusation that she's gotten both AIPAC money and dark Russian money. And she's there supporting Israel and she's there supporting Russia.
Okay, let's go along with that.
Sure.
Where's the proof
of her
Where's the allegation?
I can pull it up.
Because if that's the case, then why hasn't she been stripped from anything?
From what? She's not in office. She's a private citizen.
No. She's still active.
She's active in the National Guard. She's not in office.
Isn't she something like a major or something?
Yeah, she's something like that.
Yeah, so it's not like she's just a regular, military. I mean, she's up there.
Yeah, I mean, she has a weird relationship with Assad. She weirdly, like, after an airstrike in Syria, she went up there and she's like, how do you know it was Assad or Russia that bombed you and not ISIS? She's very Islamophobic, extremely Islamophobic, which makes me nervous given the wars that we're in. But let me find, I remember if this is the article that broke down her money that she gets. Is this the one? I'll have to find it. I read so many. I mean, hers is trickier because hers isn't as definitive, and so I could see Republicans in the Senate and in the House being like, we don't have definitive proof, so we'll confirm her. I could see that one being confirmed, but I just, for me personally, like, I have a problem with Tulsi because she seems to have abandoned the views that she had a while ago, and she's, whether you like it or not, like, she has aligned herself with people who have the exact opposite views that she used to hold. I don't know what to do with that. That's in 4 years.
So let me ask you something. Is
Sure.
there anybody on his pick that you don't have a problem with?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't like any of them, right? Because they're just because of their politics. But if I can pull that back up. Yeah, there were a couple, like his chief of staff. I'm trying to remember her name.
The lady who run his 2016 and 2024.
Susie Wiles. I don't have a problem with her. I don't have a problem with Marco Rubio. Pam Bondi. I don't like that she appears to have taken bribes from Trump, but outside of that, like, it's not the craziest thing. I mean, Elise Stefanik, I don't really care. I don't think she's moves the needle for anybody. Looking down here. I don't like Matthew Whitaker, but he doesn't necessarily scare me as ambassador to NATO, other than I think Trump's going to do what Putin wants us to do and try and break down NATO. I don't like Kristi Noem, but she doesn't scare me. Yeah, there's a good amount. There's some people a lot of people on this list. I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck those people are. There's only a couple that I have real big problems with, though, and that's Linda McMahon, RFK, Tom Homan, Pete Hegseth, Howard Lutnick. I think I said Linda McMahon already. I don't. It's Tulsi.
Why would that? I never understood. Why would he pick her?
Money, dude.
For education.
She gave him a bunch of money. I mean, how many of these people on this list are just people who gave him money? A lot.
Well, other than the billionaires.
I guess the thing that I would say for like Republicans is, I know that you guys have more trust in Republicans than we do, but if you go through and you look at how these people got in their positions, the common denominator for almost all of them seems to be either donating or like vocally being a mouthpiece for Trump's wildest lies. I mean, so many of these people have lied about the election. They're still saying like the Russian investigation was a hoax. Like, these people are just lying to the American people. You are not allowed to be an honest person and be on this list. You can't tell the truth about Trump and be in his cabinet. That scares me a little bit.
Well, and it does scare me too as well, because, you know, when somebody's a yes man and doesn't want to challenge it, that kind of is like, okay, well,
who's not a yes man on that list?
Oof. Yeah. I can see Tom Homan, because he's been doing this since the Reagan. So I can see him saying, okay, I don't like this, and
yeah, but don't you think it would be like if Trump doesn't let him deport enough people? That's where his pushback will be. He'd be like, "What the fuck? I thought I could deport everybody."
Well,
I kind of agree with you, but I just think the stuff he pushes back on Trump with, I'm probably going to side with Trump on.
And I have a different view of Tom, just because.
Do you really?
Doing this, yeah, just because the guy's been doing. I mean, he was under Reagan, he was under Obama, first term Trump. I mean, nobody had an issue when he.
But he was mostly a nobody, though, right? He was mostly a nobody under those people.
Yeah,
he was just a foot soldier.
Well, yeah, but he was in charge of deporting under Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but nobody had an issue then, right?
Well, some people did, but yeah, for the most part, we didn't give him shit about it. You're right about that.
Yeah, but now you do, right?
You know what? I don't have a problem with deportation. I don't like. I understand the idea that people coming here illegally is a problem. I get that. I'm looking at the solution. I say, look, we have a problem. What's the best solution? And the Tom Homan's solution is, not only does it come off as vindictive, as cruel, but it also doesn't make any fucking sense. It hurts all of us. If he does what he says he's going to do, it hurts all of us. Literally nobody benefits. There's no benefit to his plan of a mass deportation.
But the issue is, he's come out and said it of the plan. Have you read the actual plan?
I don't know. I don't know if I have or not.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of.
Are you talking like the Agenda 47 one, or?
No. I'm talking as far as the deportation, what the plan is.
I don't think I've read it. I've heard him speak about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the plan is, we know that there's just over 8 million people who have been basically cited and saying, okay, no, you don't meet the asylum law. You have to go back where you come from. Okay. But these people haven't been deported.
Wait, that already happens. Right? If you've gone through the asylum process, and your claims are rejected, that already happens.
Well, hold on. But who deports them?
I assume ICE.
Okay. So where do we get the stats?
The stats or the names?
No. Just the stats. Because if you go under USCIS...
The stats of what?
Of people who get denied and that are deported.
Yeah, from the government. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, where? And that's the thing.
Is that I
I
assume Border Patrol.
Well, under Border Patrol, they don't give you the numbers.
Who gives us the asylum number? I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, but so let's just say that he
Homeland is it
doing
Homeland
what-
Security?
Yeah,
Which
it
is
would be under
Border Patrol, the OHSS.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
just say
it'd be Border Patrol.
hypothetically that he's gonna do what the plan says. Let's
Yeah.
just hypothetically run this down.
Sure.
If there is such thing as, let's just say 5 million people who are here, who have been ordered deported and all that, or who are here, let's just say undocumented, whatever.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't think you have a problem with him sending those people where they
No.
came from, right?
No. No.
Okay. So, but then your side has a problem with that.
I don't. Maybe
You don't, but your side does.
Maybe the people that like the content I consume from our side. No, I think most people agree with me. But yeah, sure, there might be. Look, there's people on our side that just disagree with things just because, right? It's the same. Like some people just disagree because like Trump's doing it. But I don't know a lot of people. I mean, I played a clip earlier of Hillary Clinton saying like and Obama, he deported way more people than Trump. So I'm sure there's people who say that just because it's like an anti-Trump thing, but I think for the most part we understand that if you don't have an asylum claim, you can't stay.
Well, yeah. So no, we shouldn't have a problem with that. However, I do have a problem if, for whatever reason, like we know what happened in the 70s with the Operation WB, where some U.S. citizens were caught up in that. But if you also look at everything else, they were compensated for that. Now
Yeah, but-
they say denaturalization and all that.
But I feel like you're skipping over.
You're a smart man, then.
Well, I just feel like you're skipping so much of Tom Homan's plan. Like that's the part I think everybody agrees on. But the other parts of Tom Homan's plan that I don't agree on is just people who are here illegally. And he's saying, I'm going to deport everyone here illegally, not just like people who had an asylum claim denied and refused to leave. That's a different story. We're talking about people who came here maybe on an overstayed visa or who came here illegally and they work and their families are here. I have a problem with that. And not because like I want our immigration system to be broken. It's because it doesn't make any sense to pull, like we have millions of jobs unfilled as it is. We don't have enough people in this country to work. So deporting millions of people, many of whom are working, is not a good solution. It fucks us. I've seen estimates that say it would if we deported everybody who's here working illegally, it would drop our GDP by 10%, which would be a greater that would be worse than the Great Depression. It'd be worse than 2008.
But I don't think that is physically possible for them to deport.
Okay, but why can't we get them to just say that? This is the problem that we have. A lot of dealing with Trump and MAGA is us saying, here's what they said, and then MAGA being like, well, they can't really do that. And it's like, well, can we just get to a point then where they tell us the truth about what they're going to do? Does everything have to be?
But I mean, if you look at his plan, and I'll send it to you and all of that, it strictly breaks it down on what he wants to do. And he said about 1 million a year. He was asked about that, and he said,
but up to 20 million people, which but that's for 20 million people.
Hold on.
The number he chose was 20 million.
Well, he said their estimates is 25 million illegal here.
Yeah.
That's the estimate. But how would you know?
Well, we don't know, but that's how many people he's saying he wants to deport. So if you deport those people, that destroys our economy.
Well, hold on, but it's physically impossible, and I don't think he ever said.
Okay, well then why are they saying it?
Because that's what they run on. I mean, come on.
I know that's why. That's the thing. Like, do you see why for us it's like sometimes I feel like it's a great game that Republicans play, but you guys, it's always this thing like, oh, you guys always think Trump is the worst, and then he's not. It's like, well, yeah, because we listen to him. What he says he wants to do and what gets done are two different things. But like, if you didn't have Republicans and Democrats standing in the way, Trump's plans would be a problem. We would none of you actually agree with his real plans.
But hold on, but the issue that I have then is, oh my God,
It's a terrible time for your mic to break up, but I can't hear what you're saying. It's breaking up so bad.
Let me put on my Trump Wi-Fi.
It's working better now. Yeah, you're good now.
Oh, okay. But that's the thing that always gets me is, like I said, other than you, if you ask any lefty or anybody on the left, what do you think about this whole immigration? They'll tell you, oh my God, he wants to deport everybody. He wants to denuclearize. He wants to send citizens back.
And you meant
That's not how
denaturalize,
this
I assume?
works.
Did you mean denaturalize?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I was like, what's denutralize? Yeah, no, but to give them credit, that's what he said. I worry about a country where we have, or at least I worry about the Republican Party where we are openly saying we don't believe our own politicians. We vote for what our politicians say and hope that they do a fourth of it. Which fourth are they going to do? Like I think that's the hard part for us is like these guys try and do something. And by the way, it doesn't work. I mean, we can go back and we can look at 4 years of Trump all we want. This idea that 4 years of Trump was a massive success is batshit crazy. It's absolutely not. He was handed a thriving economy and he stalled it and we were headed for a recession. His tax cuts were devastating to our country. The effects of Donald Trump's presidency were felt throughout COVID and they were more pronounced because of it. So like we have to hear that like, oh, he did all these great things. We want to go back to that Trump presidency. And we're like, okay, what's his plan to get us back there? Deport a bunch of immigrants and tariffs? Like none of these things make sense to us. Because the conditions that we existed in under Trump, we didn't exist in those conditions because we deported a bunch of people and put tariffs. We existed in those conditions because of the 6 previous years from Obama, where we rebuilt our economy, attempting to go from middle out rather than top down. We tried middle out, and it was working pretty good to the point Trump was handed a thriving economy. But that's what's crazy. Like, let's go back to how things were. Okay, well, how did we get to how things were before? It wasn't through tariffs. It wasn't through mass deportation. So why are we talking about that?
Hold on, let me.
You're good.
Oh, okay, there we go. So let me just go back to that original thing. So you asked why would he say something like that? I mean, the plan is there. You and I don't have a problem him deporting who's here illegally.
Yeah, but I think you're framing that as if that's his plan. That's not his plan. You're just talking about one very specific part. Tom Homan says he's going to deport 20 million people, that he's going to take over jails and prisons. He's going to go into Denver and he's going to take over the prisons. Like I feel like you're only talking about one tiny part of the plan, which isn't the part that any of us have an issue with.
So so the people who commit crimes and get jailed, local jails and prisons are supposed to put. So people who So people who get arrested, right, for any crimes, when they go to the local county and all that, if they when they run their name and they find out that they don't have any documents, blah blah blah, ICE is supposed to put a hold on them.
Right.
In my town of Denver, they do not do that.
Yeah.
Because it's a sanctuary city.
Yeah, but do you have?
What you do is they commit crimes.
Yeah, but the solution to that can't be Tom Homan taking over the prisons. You have to. It's anti-democracy to say I don't like what Denver is doing in becoming a sanctuary city. Therefore, we're going to use the power and force of the U.S. government against them. No, legislate it. If we don't think that sanctuary cities are constitutional, make them unconstitutional. Sue them.
But isn't there laws already for this?
No, doesn't appear to be.
Yes, there is.
There's laws that say that Denver can't be a sanctuary city?
No. I'm talking about Denver not putting an ICE hold on people who are here who commit crimes.
Sure. So you take that to court, but Tom Homan isn't saying. So if Tom Homan was saying there's all these sanctuary cities and they're ignoring the Constitution, they refuse to adhere to the Constitution, that is something that you deal with through the courts. But he's not saying that. He's saying I'm going to bring the military. I'm going to take their fucking prisons. This is America. He's declaring war on Americans. He's talking about using the United States military against Americans. Are you breaking up again, Admir?
God bless it. Where? Hold on. Because I'm trying to pull that clip up. And About our mayor, who has come out openly and said that if the federal government comes in, that he will try to stop them. Now, there are laws against that, right?
Yeah, there are laws against the federal government coming in with the army. You cannot weaponize our military against Americans. Sorry, you're breaking up too bad, Admir. Let me see. Admir, try and fix your internet, and I'll read what the Denver mayor is saying so that maybe it can get your point across. Mike Johnson, the Democratic mayor of Denver, has stated that he will urge citizens to oppose the mass deportations of migrants that President Trump has planned in Colorado. This comes as local authorities in sanctuary cities have started organizing how to handle the issue. Speaking to Denver's Station 9, Johnson stated that he's prepared to serve time in prison in order to halt any attempts at deportation, calling it a Tiananmen Square moment. The mayor has pledged to use local police and 50,000 citizens stationed at the county line to protect migrants residing in his sanctuary city from Trump's mass deportation. More than us having federal agents stationed in the county line to keep them out, you would have 50,000 Denverites there. I mean, this feels like bloviating. I don't think 50,000 Denverites are showing up there, but yeah. It still doesn't mean Tom Homan gets to go in and take over a city. We lost Admir. Sorry, service is bad. Let me check messages real quick. Guys, I see Van Slammer, Mr. Ping, Sean X, and TikToker in the box. I know that it's easy to accidentally click, so if you're not opposition, hop out. Let me read these, and then I'll get to everybody that's left. Brittany says, "Let's role play. I'm the FBI and your hunter's laptop. I'll investigate your hardware and find out all the dirty things you've done. I promise I won't tell anyone how nice your equipment is, though. That's just between me, you and me, Double Daddy." Thank you. Thanks for promising not to say I have nice equipment. I appreciate that. Terry says, "Ponder this: Hunter Biden, Kash Patel." Ugh. By the way, Kash Patel's name, I don't know how to say it right, but it looks like his name is Cash App. It's like Kashyap. His name's like Cash App. I didn't know that. Hey, Jen, give me 1 second. Sal said, "Did I say pardon? Sorry, I meant part my cheeks." Slick as Rick says, "I knew Toots was about to get boots. Toots is no longer palatable. He actually never was. His rhetoric is as good as compulsive lives." Good work, Jade. By the way, you are still the Tony Stark of TikTok. Thank you. I like Toots. He's harmless, but goddamn, that dude just refuses to let go of the conspiracies. Tom says, "Really appreciate that you fought for sanity in the election run-up. Also, please check a couple messages I sent you in TikTok. My user is, I won't say that. If you found either or both of those links helpful, I would love to hear back via message. I'll check those after. Jen, maybe remind me on that one. I got that one. And I think we're good. All right, Jen, take it away. You still here?
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I was just going off mute. Let's be honest, your judge of character
Shut up.
isn't very good.
Shut up. How about
Let's
that?
be honest.
I just like him. I'm not vouching for his character. I just like him.
You're off on that one.
No, I can still like him.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. So you're doing the math, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we've got whenever he gets the math done.
It's $38 left. We're doing great. Thank you guys so much.
All right, so we got 35 minutes to get to $38. If we want to exceed the goal, that'd be even better. If you like to join the Discord, send myself or any of the mods a message. We can get you an invite. You might want to check the requests because you might be in there and not intending to be. So if you are, please hop out. And then if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so.
All right. I see TikToker and Vegas D Rock. Don't know. Do you know on either of those? Oh, I lost Jen already. All right. So I'll just pull them up. TikToker. Sorry. No go on TikToker. Oh, box is empty. All right. Let's see. How much time do we have? 30 minutes? God, we got through it. It's nice when we have a little. I was worried we wouldn't have enough stuff to cover this whole live, but all right. Here's what we can discuss. Yeah, Kash Patel. All right, let's do Kash Patel. if you don't know Kash Patel, here's Kash Patel on Tim Pool. Remember Tim Pool? He's the guy that was getting paid by Russia. This is Kash Patel on Tim Pool's podcast, just openly promoting conspiracy theories. And there's a theme with Kash Patel. Kash Patel is literally just a guy who has done and said anything to lie for Donald Trump. This is a person who has lied in front of Congress multiple times, has lied in front of Congress. If Kash Patel gets confirmed, I will be absolutely shocked, because if you confirm Kash Patel, you're basically saying Congress doesn't exist anymore and they have no authority to do anything.
As a former federal prosecutor and a public defender who defended a lot of these types of cases, what you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th. Because if you can show that, they've been out. Hang on. But the paperwork shows having run informants, that's a 6-month buildup minimum. Right. Minimum. It's not like they just dropped them into the Proud Boys and said, hey, go, don't disrupt, please. So once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation. Forget what the videotape shows. Just think, as a former federal prosecutor and a public defender.
I just want to point out that as a former federal prosecutor, that's gobbledygook. That is nonsense. That's fucking stupid. It is. This is how much they know, though, about their voting base. Kash Patel right there said it doesn't matter what the facts are. If you can prove that the FBI had informants that day, everybody's innocent. That's crazy. That's crazy. Even if the FBI had people involved, even if there were people there that were FBI agents, that doesn't make everybody innocent. But that's how well they know their voting bloc, and he knew who he was talking to. The difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, in my opinion, seems to be that Republicans are 100% about messaging, and they understand their base better than anybody. And they understand that no matter what accusations are lobbed at them, if you can give them an out, if there's an out, they'll take it. You guys could all hate me. I got to bring Hoodie up because Hoodie said nice things to me. We might do Kash Patel tomorrow, but sorry. Hoodie was nice to me, so he got unbanned. Don't get rebanned.
I've not had restrictions on my account for months.
I'm not banned. I think you were blocked. I just know that because I had to unblock you to message you. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I appreciate that. So there's some issues with your narrative about the Kash Patel.
Okay.
Right. So
I was just getting started too.
Well, I know, and I'm not going to take long. I'm going to work through this real quick. So I'm going to take you back to the issue with the plot to unalive the governor of
Whitmer.
What is it? Whitmer, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So when you look at specifically the FBI and how they ran their covert intel within the group, right? It was found that the I don't know what you call them, operatives, right? Were actually the ones that were running the narrative to actually do the said thing. So they were the
You're talking about the Wolverine Watchmen? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so I think that it's one thing to infiltrate a group, but it's another thing to then push a narrative to get somebody to do something, right? I think that's where
I'm not understanding. I'm not sure what you're saying right now, to be honest.
Well, what I'm saying is the operatives that infiltrated the group were the ones that provocated this idea to even exist in the first place.
Are you talking about for Whitmer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why those cases fell apart, because that's not lawful, right? That's a form of entrapment. And so
what does it tell you when multiple members of the FBI are members of a white nationalist paramilitary group, and they get caught going after Gretchen Whitmer?
No, those people.
What does that tell you about maybe who's infiltrated the FBI?
Well, no, I think that the FBI infiltrated this group. Those were assets, right? That's the perspective that was presented in court.
Yeah, what group?
And that's what led these people to get off to be not found guilty of said things.
There was a bunch of people guilty in that. What are you talking about?
No, actually, it was found that the FBI had entrapped these people, right? And
there's five people in that group that are still in. Well, I don't know if Caleb Franks. Oh, not guilty. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them went to jail.
Just look up in the Google machine.
I've got every member here. Adam Fox was guilty, sentenced to 16 years of kidnapping, conspiracy, and conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction. Joseph Morrison, guilty, 10 to 20 years, materially aiding a terrorist and membership in a gang. Ty Garbin, 6 years and 3 months, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, later reduced.
You're missing the point here. Look up, FBI gets caught entrapping members for assassination attempt on governor. Look it up.
Why'd they go to jail then?
No, just look.
What did you want me? I'm searching, but I'm just asking another. Tell me what to search one more time. FBI
agents. Shit, I don't even remember.
I'll just type it. What if I just type Gretchen Whitmer? Will that pull it up? If I do FBI agents Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah. FBI found to be entrapping suspects in Whitmore case, maybe. I don't know. But it really left a big question mark on the purpose of infiltrating, because from a law-abiding citizen like myself, I want the FBI to go in there and infiltrate these groups, right? But I want them to
let's be clear on this. So these were informants, right?
Yes. Correct.
Okay, and you recognize that informants regularly also participate in crimes, right? Even though they're informants, that's a normal thing.
Well, I think that these were actually agents, though.
I'm reading it. It's informants.
Okay. And what does it say?
It says that, and this was exposed by BuzzFeed. They were the first ones to report it. An examination of the case by BuzzFeed News also reveals that some of these informants, acting under the direction of the FBI, played a far larger role than previously had been reported. Working in secret, they did more than just passively observe and report on the actions of the suspects. Instead, they had a hand in nearly every aspect of the alleged plot, starting with its inception. The extent of their involvement raises questions as to whether there would have been a conspiracy without them.
Correct. Thank you for
but those are
that.
But those are informants. That's not the FBI.
Yeah, but it also said in direct connection, right? So
in direct no wait
yes
under the direction of the FBI in their informing.
Well, you don't direct somebody. When somebody's giving you information, they're giving you information. But when they're directing, there's a directive, right? Hence the base word, right? That means the FBI is giving them directives.
No, it's under the directed to record, right? I feel like you're making a leap right now and saying that you're taking the word direction and you're ascribing more to it than I think you have evidence for. The evidence that I can see here, and you might have other evidence, the evidence I can see here is that those people were informants, which means that they had to do what the FBI told them. And the FBI probably said, hey, we won't prosecute you if you continue to work with us. I mean, this is how we brought down the mafia. This is how we've brought down gangs. We do this. We in fact, there have been police officers. I have a good friend who he infiltrated biker gangs, and he committed tons of crimes while being a law enforcement officer infiltrating a biker gang, because if he didn't commit the crimes, it would expose him for being law enforcement. So he did that. I mean, I guess we could argue whether or not that's ethical, and we could probably have a good discussion on that, but I don't think that that's unusual for the FBI.
Well, and I think that as a result of this governor case, some policies within the department was actually changed, because here's the line for me, like infiltration of a group is one thing, right? But actually actively involved in a plot to unalive like a governor, like
but then they didn't, right? That's the point. So part of these charges, like if you're going to, most of these charges, when I looked, it was, I think most of them had like a conspiracy charge. Almost all of them, it was conspiracy. In order for conspiracy, there has to be a plan, and you have to work together to make a plan. So if you're going to catch these people and stop the crime, you've got to wait until you have enough to prove conspiracy, right? Otherwise, you're just going to break it up, and they're going to all go their ways, and they're never going to go to jail. And again, you could argue, is this entrapment? I think that's fair, but like this is what the FBI does. Trump's FBI does the same thing, and they'll continue to do the same thing. My problem with Kash Patel lies with the things that he lied about in front of Congress. My problem with Kash Patel is when he went to Congress and he said Muriel Bowser rejected 10,000 troops. We offered 10,000, and she rejected them. That's not true.
Right. Yeah, you're referring to the Loudermilk report?
I'm referring to Kash Patel's testimony before Congress.
Okay. So there was also Kash Patel's testimony in the J6 committee, which was...
And the J6 committee, yeah.
Right, but his testimony was omitted from the official record, and Liz Cheney said that he never testified.
Yeah, but I don't care. Yeah, but we got to stay on this. I still want to point out that my issue with Kash Patel is that you don't want to. We got to address that. Why did he lie? Why did he say that Muriel Bowser rejected 10,000 troops?
Because that's what happened.
It didn't happen. There's no evidence that happened anywhere.
In
fact, his boss, he was Christopher Miller was his boss, and Christopher Miller said that's not true. She never rejected troops.
So I heard your older millennial 6-hour debate. So
yeah. I walked him through all this.
I heard you and him going at it about this very subject. Okay. And so I do understand that, a conversation and a letter authorization is two different things, right? And then we have to go with chain of command, right? And we have all
but
these
there's
different
no
aspects.
evidence. There's two things. There's no evidence that Muriel Bowser declined 10,000 troops, and she can't. She has no authority to do that. So it's an obvious lie, and Kash Patel told that lie to protect Donald Trump. I'm concerned about an FBI director who has lied multiple times to protect the guy that he's being nominated by. He has been caught lying so many times for Donald Trump. Whether you like him or not, whether you think Trump's guilty, innocent, or not, I don't think as Americans we should support somebody who has been caught lying multiple times to protect this guy. We shouldn't consider him to lead the FBI. I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah. So here's I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole long debate, and I know you don't have time. I don't either. So the issue here, specifically to the J6 and how it ties into the Whitmer case and the FBI and so on and so forth. So we do not have the IG report that Horowitz is supposed to be finalizing. It's in the rough draft form now, and I would think that a lot of the things that are being discussed in reference to how the FBI infiltrated some of these groups for the governor issue is exactly the same as what happened.
Okay, but you're guessing. No, yes, you are.
No,
everything Horowitz has not put out anything that suggests that the FBI had agents on the ground as provocateurs or whatever you think they did. I've seen Horowitz hasn't said anything about that. So you're saying but that's the do you see the problem that we have here? Every time we get to what is the evidence you just provided is truly hypothetical. It's what you think Horowitz is going to say, and your reason for believing that it's true is because it's not out there yet. How do we have a conversation when your evidence doesn't exist, and the reason it doesn't exist, you say, is because nobody will let it out? How do we have a real conversation here?
So, well, the way that we have a real conversation is that if the FBI had infiltrated the groups on the governor issue, then it would be a natural conclusion to say that the FBI did the same thing with the Proud Boys and these other groups as well. The question is how many were there and what was their purpose?
Okay, but you see, these are questions, and one of the things I've said since the election, I think one of probably the smartest thought I've had, and you can watch this when you go around. Republicans ask a lot of questions and then they stop. Most of your rhetoric is a question that you don't know an answer to. And the difference between, I think, our side and yours, or at least I'll speak for me. I think the difference between how I consume media and you do is I don't stop if I don't know the answer to the question. And if I can't get the answer to that question, I don't make something up. You don't know the answer to this question. Yeah, no, you are. These are all hypotheticals. Wait, hold on. Well, first of all, Gretchen Whitmer, the FBI was involved. People still went to jail. People still committed crimes.
Sure. Right.
And in this case, even if the FBI was involved and they were embedded with the Proud Boys, they still committed crimes. They still still beat up police officers. They still some of them were found guilty of seditious conspiracy. So it still does. So then going back to Kash Patel, we already know is a guy who lies. So why you think Kash Patel wouldn't do this exact thing? You don't think Kash Patel would infiltrate every left-wing group possible and try and frame them for something? He already lies. We have to, if we want to restore faith in the FBI, we have to start by not putting in a hyper-partisan who is on the record repeatedly lying. There are right-wingers who have no history of lying to Congress and lying about the FBI. There are tons of them. We could get any number of them, but why Kash Patel?
Because I think he would be a great FBI director.
Why? He's never worked in the FBI. The people in the FBI don't like him. He's a known liar. What qualifications does he have that make you think this guy's going to be a great FBI director?
I think that he's been in the intel service community for decades. And I think that
but there's hundreds of people that have that same qualification. So what makes him different?
I think that he wants to get to the root of the corruption at the department, because I believe that there are it's a cancer.
Yeah, so you have a suspicion, but this is the problem. You have a suspicion that you don't have evidence for, and you want to bring in a guy who has the same suspicions as you. This is just you guys being hopeful that all the shit that you've been saying is true. That's it. That's the whole reason you guys want Kash Patel, is you want to see if all the shit you think is true. Meanwhile, he will destroy the institution. If Kash Patel is who we all have seen him be, a documented liar, he will destroy the FBI.
Well, wouldn't that be taken care of in the confirmation?
Well, I don't think he's going to be confirmed. I hope not. But right now it's just me and you talking, and you seem to like Kash Patel.
I do.
Yeah, but I think, but don't you kind of agree that the reason you like him is because you hope he confirms the stuff that you said that you think you'll be right about?
I will admit that I have bias on this subject.
Okay.
And maybe my bias has focused my glasses in a particular way. I'll admit that.
Like, I think there's people you could put there. I think there are Republicans who are fairly loyal to Trump that you could put in that position. In fact, I don't understand why we're getting a new FBI director. Trump appointed the last one. And Joe Biden kept him on. If anybody could restore the trust of the American people for the FBI, maybe it could be the person who worked for Trump, then Biden, then Trump again.
Well, I think that one of the main reasons, in my opinion, would be the fact that how the whistleblowers were treated. The fact that they were the whistleblowers that were unfairly treated based on their
IRS ones
opinion, and the FBI. There's been FBI whistleblowers.
How were they treated?
They weren't paid for 27 months.
Yeah, because they broke the rules. They were literally posting shit online that they weren't allowed to post.
Well, I think that the other issue is the fact that the FBI agents don't get a whistleblower protection, and all of this has come out in the hearing.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. These weren't whistleblowers.
And here
wait, but these weren't whistleblowers. You only get whistleblower protection if you're a whistleblower. These people got fired and went to Congress to share their story of why they believe they got fired. And the FBI said, no, here's the evidence of why you got fired. And that's why Republicans abandoned them too. We're not we might have dismissed them, but you know who dismissed them almost as quickly? Republicans, because they didn't have anything. There was no evidence. They brought nothing to the table. They were just people who were, by the way, and who was paying them, by the way? Hoodie?
Nobody.
Kash Patel was paying them.
What do you mean by
every single one of them testified under oath that they were paid by Kash Patel
in the hearing?
Yes. Do you want me to play it for you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me pull it up.
I think they had 3 days of testimony on
this? And they all admitted that Kash Patel paid their bills. You didn't know that?
I wasn't aware of that. No.
All right.
Yeah, because the FBI, let's say you're an officer and you get into a situation, at least you get like administrative leave pay.
But they got fired. They got fired. They didn't get fired for being whistleblowers. They got fired for leaking information, and then after they got fired, they decided that they were now whistleblowers.
But what information did they leak, Jay?
I don't remember. I could find it. They were posting shit on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know that?
Well, it's my understanding that they were being treated differently because of their political views.
Well, that's what they said, but you didn't ever look into it. You didn't. Certainly, you must. All right. Well, without being accusatory, I'm guessing what you saw was that you saw the clips from their testimony and you went with that. But I bet you didn't see this. This is Dan Goldman, and this is an ad from Filter Buy. Don't forget to buy your filter.
A couple different questions. We established earlier credibility matters, certainly for witnesses who appear before us. Mr. Boyle, do you know who Kash Patel is?
I do.
Have you received any money from Kash Patel or his organization?
I have.
When you previously met with the majority members and or majority staff of this committee, was Kash Patel present for that meeting?
No.
To your knowledge, has Kash Patel ever spoken to the committee members on your behalf?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of? Was anyone present for your previous meetings with committee members and staff on the majority that were not members of this committee or staff of this committee?
My counsel.
Your counsel? Anyone else?
I don't think so.
No. Is Kash Patel helping you finance your counsel?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Mr. Friend, what about you? Do you know Kash Patel as well?
Yes.
And did you receive any money from Kash Patel?
Yes, he gave me a donation last November.
A donation?
Yes.
Are you a charitable organization?
I was an unpaid, indefinitely suspended man trying to feed his family, and he reached out to me and said he wanted to give me a donation.
Did he have any, was he present for any of your meetings with committee members or staff?
No.
And how many times did you meet with the committee members or staff prior to your transcribed interview?
I never met with them prior to my transcript.
Did you speak to them on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so you spoke to them on the phone?
Yes, I spoke to them on the phone, corresponded.
Did you provide documents?
Yes, I gave them my written declaration.
Did they ask you whether they could share that with the minority?
I don't know. At the time, I don't believe they were actually in the majority.
Did they ask you whether they could share the documents?
I don't remember if they did or didn't.
I want to focus a
it cuts off the other two.
Mm-hmm.
2 for 2. Paid by Kash Patel.
Wait a minute. That's kind of disingenuous for you to frame it like that. What do you mean paid by these people?
They were paid, but Kash Patel gave them money.
Yeah. Yeah, because they had no way to pay their bills.
Yeah, because they got fired, and they didn't turn whistleblower until after they had been fired.
Mm-hmm. So
you don't think there's any coincidence there that one of Trump's closest people paid all of these people up here that were whistleblowers, and then they all showed up and said the same. And by the way, after they showed up, nothing happened. They didn't provide any evidence that changed a goddamn thing. You don't think it's possible Kash Patel paid people off to go try and be whistleblowers and smear the Biden administration?
Hold on. Here again, the IG is also coming out with a report for that.
Okay, but you don't know what's in there. So let's deal with what's reality right now. You said you said that you watched this. You knew their testimony. Both of those people just testified that Kash Patel paid for them. Both of them became whistleblowers after they were fired. You don't know why they were fired, and you don't have a problem that Kash Patel, who lies repeatedly, also pays off people to come testify in the favor of Donald Trump. He's just whatever you want to say, dude. Like, whatever you want to say, whether you like him or not. Can we not agree that Jesus fucking Christ, could you guys put up somebody for FBI director who doesn't have this many red flags? There's not that many people that you could put up with more red flags than Kash Patel.
So you don't think it's a good thing for Kash Patel to help out a family in need because their primary financial provider is out of work because of his political views?
Maybe. Look, if he did that and then he didn't leverage that to get people to come to Congress, that's one thing. Yeah. But he leveraged the money that he donated to them to get them to do something he wanted.
They just asked him if they
one part you didn't find out. Well, that's the part you didn't find out is that they don't know who's paying for their counsel, and it turned out to be Kash Patel and other Republicans. They weren't paying for their own counsel. They just didn't know Kash was behind it at the time. But that reporting came out. So Kash Patel pays these people. Well, he pays these people, and then they just happen to all of a sudden become whistleblowers, and they just happen to show up and defend Donald Trump.
Well, who paid for E. Jean Carroll's lawyers?
I don't know who paid for E. Jean Carroll's lawyers. Do you know?
Well, it's just, I can guarantee you it's somebody from the left.
Did we put that person up to be FBI director? Or was it Merrick Garland?
I'm just saying that.
Was it Merrick? No, that Attorney General. No, was it Chris Wray? Was it Christopher Wray?
No.
I don't give a shit that Kash Patel paid their expenses. What I care about is that you guys are putting up a guy like this for FBI director.
We are.
And that's where we have a problem. You guys, I don't know why you can't find somebody better than Kash Patel. That's embarrassing.
Jay, the world's still going to go round. You know, we can still go on.
Reid Hoffman, who founded LinkedIn, is who funded E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit.
Yeah. There you go.
And Reid Hoffman's role in the Biden administration was what?
Yeah, but
what was his role?
Is he a Democrat?
Probably. What was his role?
None.
Okay, so you see the difference, right? One of them is being appointed to be FBI director. One of them isn't.
Wait a minute. Kash Patel wasn't part of any administration when he donated to these individuals, was he?
Well, he was in the Trump administration, and then they lost, and he stayed with Trump as Trump was campaigning to be president again. So he was from the former administration, and obviously he's going to work with this administration, and he was working for the campaign. So again, it's not because he was in the administration. I don't care if he was in the administration. I care that this is the guy you guys are putting up for FBI director. I question the judgment of you and other Republicans by you're closing. This is a blind eye. This is a blind eye. This is something we should all be able to agree on. The Kash Patel is not somebody we should trust to run the FBI. That should be easy.
I think that as the American people, we should have a government and an IG that should have this report.
Do you mean an AG? Because an IG is like somebody who gets assigned.
Inspector General.
That's an assign. That's you assign that position. Yes, he was assigned that position.
Yeah, and his job is to investigate these three-letter agencies and making sure that their policies and procedures are lawful, right? And that there's no shenanigans going on, right? And so his report would tell us, a lot about what was going on with the J6 events, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. And why don't we have that report? It's been how many years now?
Because he's not done with it. Tell him to hurry the fuck up.
It is done.
No, they said they were still finishing it.
It's in final rough draft. Okay. So
is that done?
No, it's not. But I can tell you that I think that it should have came out before the election.
I don't care. That has nothing to do with anything. Horowitz should have put it out then. Blame Horowitz.
Now let me just ask
No, why
you,
didn't he
Jay,
put it out? Why didn't he put it out?
If people
Why
like,
didn't he put it out?
I think there was political pressure for him not to.
This is a Trump appointed, Republican appointed IG.
Exactly.
So you think Trump pressured him not to put it out?
No.
Who pressured him?
I think with Christopher Wray and
another Trump appointee.
Yeah. Yeah, and here we go, right? So Christopher Wray, right? He did not divulge information on how many assets were there on J6.
How do you know there were any? How do you know there were any?
I hope there were.
I know this is all you being hopeful. You're saying right now what you're saying is like the equivalent of Joe Biden didn't tell us there were unicorns. You're talking this hypothetical. You don't even know if there were FBI agents there. You're mad at somebody for not confirming something that you believe. You don't care about the truth. You just want him to confirm something you believe.
No.
Yes. No. Yes. Who were the FBI agents that were there that were in the field? Who were they?
Oh, brother.
How many were there? How many?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, just how many?
Were they there?
Do you know
to
there was
observe?
one? Do you know there was
were
one?
They there to observe?
Do you know
or
there
were
was at
they
least
there
one?
to
Do you know there was at
participate?
least one?
I would imagine there was
Who
more
was
than
it?
one.
Who was it?
Well, I would say that Ray Epps definitely.
Okay, but Ray Epps wasn't there on assignment, was he?
I would beg to differ.
Well, how come Ray Epps says he wasn't?
Well, I mean, people say a bunch of shit.
See, these
that
are all
ain't
just,
true.
it's all just hopeful shit for you. You have made a lot of claims over the last 4
I don't
years.
trust the
and
government, Jay.
Yeah, but you don't trust them because they don't confirm what you believe. You believe things with shitty evidence, and then when the government doesn't confirm it, you're like, I don't trust them. It's a little like it kind of just feels like, Hoodie, that you don't trust anybody who says something differently than you.
No.
Give me an example of why I shouldn't trust the government from the last 4 years. What have they lied to me about in the last 4 years?
Well, your president said he wasn't going to pardon his son.
Yeah, that's not the government lying to me.
That's the president. That is the government. That's the highest position of the government.
But I
Yes.
don't. That's not. Yeah, I don't care about that. That's fair. What has the government lied to me about that I should care about?
That you could keep your doctor.
In the last 4 years, they did that.
Well, I mean, that's what Obama said, right?
I said the last 4 years, bud.
Oh, in the last 4
Yeah.
years.
What have they lied to me about?
Well, they passed a bill that says the Inflation Reduction Act, and it was the Green New Deal. So yeah, that was a lie.
Did inflation get reduced?
I don't think that was the driver.
Did inflation get reduced?
Yeah, but that wasn't the
cool.
driver.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I don't think the title of a bill is a lie. By the way.
Well, even Joe Biden said that the title was.
What's warp speed? How fast is warp speed?
Are you talking about Star Trek warp speed?
Yeah. What does it mean? What is warp speed?
It means to travel faster than the speed of light.
Okay. Did the COVID vaccines get done faster than the speed of light?
No.
Okay. See how that's fucking dumb? Then, like, is that a lie, or did they just market it shitty? I'm trying to be genuine here. Like,
No,
I think that Americans.
That was
I
pretty
think
good. I like that,
Thank
Jay.
you. I think Americans have a distrust for the government, and they should. But I think that we distrust the government for the wrong fucking things all the time. And I think that this is like the Joe Roganville where we've gone, where all the shit we should care about the government lying to us about, we don't ever talk about. But the shit that probably isn't real, like 99% of it isn't real, that's all we ever talk about. We talk about the Epstein list. We talk about COVID conspiracies. We talk about Pizzagate. We talk about January 6th. It's all these bullshit conspiracies that at the end of the day do nothing for us. And we don't bother. We don't, like, I get it even from your guys' view, but I just want to point out that you guys have been saying we don't want the deep state, fuck the deep state, fuck big tech, fuck all these people, and then Trump has brought them all into his cabinet. It's the most deep state cabinet you could possibly have. It is deep state and corporate money and people paying their way to get a seat, and none of you care because we have been so conditioned now that, like, the government is this other entity that doesn't have to do with the person we're voting for president. for some reason. And we're just missing the fact that this is by far the biggest, like the most corrupt cabinet that has ever been attempted to be assembled. It is full of like sex traffickers, criminals, business cheats, tax cheats, scamming MAGA cheats. It's crazy. And they just keep you guys focused on all this other shit. So you miss the fact that they're filling a cabinet full of criminals.
So would you call these individuals the American oligarchies?
I would say that oligarchy.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure, some of them. So, like, I mean, you can't tell me Elon Musk isn't trying to create an oligarchy. It's crazy. He literally privatized our space travel.
How so?
Because he took SpaceX. And then he started applying for the grants, and then he took the employees of NASA and paid them more to work at SpaceX.
Oh, you're talking about Elon. Okay, I got it.
Did I not say Elon? Sorry, I might have said the wrong guy. Yeah, Elon. And now he's going to get defense contracts, and he wants to do, like, his goal is this interplanetary space travel. He made all of his money off the backs of the American people, off of the backs of taxpayers, off of government handouts. And now he's coming to the office. He's like, we need to end government handouts. And by the way, all this regulation that's in our way, we got to get rid of that. They're talking about getting rid of the Financial Protection Bureau, hoodie. That's fucking crazy. The only protection we have had against big banks and billionaires is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, and they're going to try and get rid of it because Elon wants it gone.
But wait a minute. Do you think that bureau has done an adequate job of protecting us?
No, they could have done so much more, but Republicans keep standing in their way.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Excuse me, it's the Republicans saying get rid of them. The Republicans are why do you think it's crazy that Republicans were standing in the way when they're saying we need to abolish these people entirely? And that's shocking to you that it was the Republicans this whole time? They're the ones trying to get rid of it. Mark Andreessen, go watch that Joe Rogan episode of Mark Andreessen. It's one of the most disgusting, embarrassing things I've ever seen in my life because you guys were the ones who said we don't like the fucking deep state. We want to just be left alone. And now you've allowed these billionaires to infiltrate your whole movement, and now they're on Joe Rogan convincing a bunch of good-natured Americans who just want the government to be out of their shit to say, we don't want the government in our shit, so just join us. And then all they're going to do is remove all the barriers that keep them from taking all the money. You guys are bent over right now, and you don't know it. Your own party's like, fuck democracy, we're doing oligarchy.
Hold on, let me just speak for a minute. All I'm going to say is you might be right, and I mean you might be, but I think that from at least my perspective, that's all I can give, is that the American people are so frustrated that they're willing to take that risk for something different.
But that's crazy. It's like, but that's like saying I'm afraid that if I go bungee jumping, it will break, and then I'm gonna die. And then they're like, all right, so what's the solution? And like Joe Rogan shows up, he's like, yeah, I don't know. Did they tell you that you needed a bungee? You don't even need a bungee, dude. You're fucking resilient, and then you just jump.
Just jump.
Like, yeah, you guys are being handed a poison pill, and you're like, well, at least we know how we're gonna die. That's what it feels like. It's crazy. The parallels
might very well be the situation, but I think that.
But the parallels between this and every other strongman that's risen, you can draw. And I'm not saying that this is an anti-Semitic thing. I'm not saying Holocaust. Okay, I'm just talking about the rise of an authoritarian regime in Germany. Listen to how this happened. He went in and he didn't have enough power, and so where did he go to get his power? He went to big companies, corporations like Volkswagen, and nationalized them, and then he went to the churches. Who did Donald Trump just get all of his power from? Who did he go to when he needed power? Churches and the billionaire class. This is the exact same playbook because churches and billionaires don't have to play by the rules that we do, and we give them we give them a pass on everything. There's nobody who's made $1 billion who didn't do so who did so in an ethical way. It's not even possible, and we just ignore that. And we ignore that churches have been abusing children and people across this country for centuries, and that they don't pay any taxes, and that they just are there to enrich themselves. And Donald Trump recognized that those are two untouchable groups, and he coalesced with those two untouchable groups. This is what strongmen have done in every country throughout the history of the world. You take the rich and you take the churches, and you have power.
Well, I can't argue with that, Jay. I mean, I'm not a big church guy as far as like the institution, right? I mean, I do believe in the creator and so on and so forth. But I mean, yeah, I don't believe in the church because of what it's done, what it represents, and I think it's there for control. And it's that very control that you just spoke of that you're saying has been wielded in this case in the past and now here in this situation. I hear you. I really do. I hear you. But my argument would be that would you say that that was an organic movement, or was it a subverted intentional movement?
I think I don't think it was organic. It took a lot of messaging and a lot of behind the scenes activity. If you want the honest truth, here's what I think happened. I don't think Christians wanted to coalesce behind Trump, and Trump got dirt on Falwell, and he used that to get Falwell to endorse him, and then people fell in line. And clearly, Silicon Valley wanted nothing to do with Donald Trump. They weren't giving him money. And then they realized we can't beat him. He's just going to keep winning. They gave money to everybody but Trump in the primaries. They wanted Ron DeSantis. They wanted Nikki Haley. They were all backing these more sensible people, and Trump beat them anyway. So what did they do? They bought themselves a VP, and then they got Elon to donate a bunch of money. And now they are in bed with the religious people and Donald Trump. And Donald Trump basically used his base to say, you guys are coming with me. Like, this is like, you can't beat me. And now they're all in it together. And I've got a billionaire career con man, churches who I don't trust, and billionaires who I don't trust. And they're making all the decisions.
Okay.
This is not the like we the people for the people. This is this isn't the people's movement. This is the billionaires movement.
Okay. Perfect. So do you think that billionaires can do great things?
I think people can do great things, sure.
And so, I mean, whether it be the left or the right, we have billionaires in charge. Can we agree on that?
Not to this extent. No, I mean, if you're saying that like billionaires have influence either way, I think that having money on the right, you're far more likely to gain influence on the right with a lot of money. I think the right is pretty on message. You have the benefit of having most of the people voting on the right being religious, so they're already conditioned to believing in good versus evil, and they're already conditioned to believe things that don't have evidence. They're already conditioned to believe they're good, the other people are bad. So I think it's helpful. But I've never in the history of our country that I can think of has the wealthy consolidated this much power. It's not only through donors now; they're like in office.
Well, what about FDR and the New Deal and the amount of power that is wielded in this country for the better part of 6 decades now?
By the government?
That's a lot of power. Yeah, that's a lot of power.
Yeah, but
Jay.
the thing is with the government being in power, like you have a way that you get to fight back against that. And if the government if looking back with FDR, there's some things I think he did great. There's some things I wouldn't necessarily agree with. You could do that with every president, but this is handing the reins. Like all the stuff that you guys told us didn't happen or wasn't going to happen is happening. Like Russ Vought wrote Project 2025. He's in the cabinet. He wrote it. He is the one of 3 authors. There were a lot of people that wrote small parts. He's the author. He put it together. He's in the fucking cabinet.
Yeah.
Everything you guys told us you believed in, and I believe that you guys believe in these things, but I do think that you guys got blinded. I think you got blinded by us. You got blinded by every other story that we got blinded by too, like January 6th, and you didn't notice that your party had become like a Christian nationalist party hell-bent on ending democracy. And they are hell-bent on ending democracy. They are.
Let's talk about the J6 offenders. Okay.
Sure.
I think that the ones that went into the Capitol and didn't do any violence, I think that they should not be in jail.
I'd be fine with that. If those are the people that get
I think
pardons,
it's the violent,
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah, the people that committed violence on the police side.
But isn't this kind of the point, Hoodie? Like, we're back to January 6th. We were just talking about this bigger picture thing. This is the exact stuff I was talking about that we get distracted by.
Sorry, I got a phone call and then I got distracted, and then So I think that even if President Trump or elect Trump said, hey, Democrats, pick my whole cabinet, right? There would still be like outrage, like to some degree. It's.
I know, but in all fairness, I'm being selective with my outrage. Okay, like Admir earlier was here. He said, "Are there people on the cabinet that you're not outraged by?" Yeah, like I don't like anybody on Trump's cabinet, but there's plenty of them I can live with, and that's going to be the case. Like I have different political beliefs, so I would prefer their political beliefs match mine, but they don't. But they're regular people. They are people who aren't obviously corrupt. My problem is with the ones that are obviously corrupt. The ones that are obviously bad. And Kash Patel's one of them. And like I said, like we get lost in the weeds so often that you guys don't want Kash Patel. Kash Patel's a bad pick for everybody involved.
I think Kash Patel is going to bring credibility back to the department.
He has no credibility. He is showing up as a known liar. How is bringing in a known liar going to add credibility? How that help me make sense out of that?
Add credibility with transparency.
But he hasn't been transparent with what he's done. He's lied about what he's done.
Well, like
he's not transparent. Donald Trump is not transparent. Do you think Donald Trump is going to release the Epstein files? Do you think he's going to release his tax?
Yes.
This if he doesn't, would that change your view on Republicans?
I would be highly disappointed, Jay.
Okay. I'm gonna just on record, he's not ever releasing it. And he's not releasing it because his name's in there. And whether that means he did stuff or he didn't do stuff, it doesn't matter. His name's in there and he's not going to release it.
Well, I think that a part of the Democrat donor class funding was due to this subject right here about whether or not these lists are going to be released.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, who else was on that? The people that we know, like who are the Democrats that were involved in this election that were on that list, or at least that we know they had like contact with him? Who were they? It's like the Clintons. It's Bill Clinton.
Oh,
who else?
Yeah, and a bunch of actors, famous people.
Okay,
and,
well, Elon Musk,
princes,
Elon Musk, RFK, Donald Trump, all in the cabinet. You guys want to talk about donors, but you're ignoring your own fucking cabinet.
But see, here's where I think that is going to be.
Do you see how easy this is to play, you guys? All they have to do is tell you they're outraged about the same shit you are, and even though they're on the plane, even though they're at at parties with pictures of the girls, you guys are like, well, they're talking about it, so they must not be involved. Do you see how easy it is to play, you guys? You have three people from Epstein's list that are on the cabinet. They're in.
Well, you know what the beautiful part is, Jay, is that we're going to be able to find out the answers to many things that we're talking about.
We won't. Why didn't he do any of this his first? What did he give us his first time around? He promised to declassify everything. He promised to declassify the 9/11 stuff. He promised to declassify all the JFK stuff. He didn't. He let a few things become unclassified when their time expired, and he reclassified not only 9/11 things but also JFK things. Kash Patel, I watched an interview this morning of him saying we still haven't declassified stuff from JFK or 9/11. Trump could have done that. Trump could have declassified the Epstein stuff while he was in office. He didn't do that. And when he was asked about it, he's like, yeah, I'll do it. Wait a minute. Maybe I won't, because there's going to be people on that list who it will ruin their lives and they weren't really involved.
Oh, you talking about the Joe Rogan interview?
No, this was a Fox News one. But he said he wouldn't release. He's like, maybe not though, because there's people on that list who I don't know. He wished Ghislaine well on the day of her court case. I'm just saying, like, if you want to play conspiracies, fine. I'm not playing them. But if you're playing them, I'm just going to point out that there's 3 people involved in this conspiracy that we know of, and you voted for them.
Well, we're going to find that out.
Okay, but do you understand why, for me, it seems silly that you guys are ignoring the people right in front of you who were involved with him? Donald Trump is probably, of all the people in the world, he, besides Ghislaine Maxwell, is the person we know publicly who was most involved with Jeffrey Epstein. They were hosting parties together. They were traveling together. They hosted like these pageants together. Epstein would bring his girls to Trump's hotel, and Trump would give them a room at Atlantic City. Like, of all the public figures who are known to be close with Epstein, Trump is the closest. And you guys think that's the guy that's like, oh, he's the closest guy to Epstein, therefore.
But he was also, hold on, he was also one of the only people that were willing to sit down and do an interview about what he knew about it in the Florida case as well. So
what?
I mean, yeah, Donald Trump was the only person that sat down and gave his testimony.
That's not true. There were lots of people who gave testimony. You know why Donald Trump gave testimony? Because there were crimes committed at places Donald Trump was with Jeffrey Epstein. He was a material witness.
Yeah. So
he was a material witness.
You're saying guilty by association.
No, I'm saying you guys play guilty by association with everybody but Trump and but Elon and but RFK. You guys play guilty by association with Bill Clinton all the time, but you won't hold that same standard when it comes to RFK. And RFK is like, I hung out with him all the time. I was always on his plane.
So let me ask you a question, and it comes from a genuine place. If Donald Trump does scorched earth and goes after Democrats and Republicans for their fraudulent acts, are you okay with that?
If they're fraudulent, I mean, I think Donald Trump is the most fraudulent person ever to obtain this office. I think he committed crimes before in office, after he left office, and while he was in office. So I'm cool.
Does scorched earth and goes after Democrats.
He left office and while he was in office. So I'm cool.